get right to it. Look. No introductions, no interruptions. When I roll into functions, just know that it's tucked in, like I wore a tux in. Say hello to Justin. Justin for making something out of nothing. Mama told me I'm a star. Them haters said I wasn't. Now I'm looking at a mugging from a V-dozen shrugging. Feeling like McLovin, I'm becoming a conundrum. These dum-dums forgot where I come from. There's nothing that we run from. BK, niggas know the status. Got like 2 spots in the top 3 rappers. It's Hoffa, trapper turned smack rapper. Only smack rapper that you know is smack rapper. We back. My expert opinion, the livest show in the world. We here.
The gun speaks Jukanese.
Jukanese.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah, the gun speaks. Shout out to Albie back. Shout out to Albie, wherever you at. Salute, salute, salute. We here. We got a special guest in the building tonight. You know, this is my homie. A lot of y'all be acting like y'all got issues with him, but it's the guy, man. It's a good guy, man. It's a good guy. You should get to know him. So stick around, and you will. Kim, what up, though?
What's going on? Watch how you touch me. Watch how you touch me.
Why?
Watch how you touch me.
What? I can't fist bump you like.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Fist bump. Okay.
Is this a? Where's my button?
No, I'm fucking around.
Was it a?
That wasn't a pause.
That wasn't a pause.
That wasn't a pause.
All right, are we good? We good?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, damn! It's a sensitive world out here.
It's
It's a
really-
real sensitive world. Be careful.
Watch
Be
it.
careful.
Watch
Some
it.
lawsuits be coming left and right.
No.
World
Be
changed
careful.
on me.
Gat.
What's up, bro?
Or should I say brat?
Nah.
Brat today.
Word. You looking like the big lope today. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
man.
Fuck it. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
We going
you know
viral
what
for
I'm
everything else. You know what I mean? Man, after big lope got the big homie. Fuck it. We here though. I'm happy to be here with the gang.
Mecca, we're so happy that you graced us with your
Stop
presence. So happy.
We love you, Mecc.
Stop that. So
Yeah.
I'm always here, even when I'm not here.
That's true.
Somebody got to open up the shop.
Is Mecca the only guy that's been here for every interview I've ever done on this show?
Think so.
Every interview.
Me, apart from
you've
you,
ever
of
done?
course.
Were you here when Misfit was here?
Not sure.
That might be, if there was, that might be the only one. But yeah, he's been here
Every
pretty
time.
much every other time.
I'm thinking about it.
I think you're the only one that's consistently been here every time I've showed up.
Yeah, you hear some people tell it that I'm not consistent. Some people will tell you I'm not.
Who would say that?
Who fucking
Who
knows?
the fuck would say that?
Weirdos.
Who would say that?
Weirdos.
No shout outs? What's going on with Buster's project?
January 17th, this Friday, Thursday at midnight, it'll pop. Everybody will see Dragon Season, The Awakening, followed by Dragon Season Equinox, and then a couple others. It's a good look.
So it's multiple projects?
Yes, it's a crazy rollout.
Dragon Season.
It's a crazy rollout.
Oh, wow.
I named the album.
Any listening parties?
There'll be a couple, and we'll be at those.
Hopefully I get an invite this time. Yeah.
Well, you got an invite this time, but you know, Vlad's here. Clash.
Usually you got to be like Buster invite me or something.
That's not true. We haven't had a listening party. That's not true.
No,
at all.
what did I show up to the last time I saw you? And I was like, oh, Mecc, you're here? Huh?
Friendsgiving.
Friendsgiving. That's
Yeah,
what it was.
That's not a listening, bro. Shout out to Classic Material.
That's fire, Mecc.
Yeah, I know. I know it really
Okay.
is.
Can they see it?
Should be
Can they
able
see
to.
it?
Can't show the hat.
Look. Just zoom in on the hat.
QB chain, the rock chain, and the Jesus.
You gotta be ahead.
Can you guys
This is a
decode
bar.
this?
This is a line.
Can you decode this?
And basically, yes.
A-Town, put the camera on the hat.
This is one of those.
Biggie, J, and Nas.
I need one of those.
Yeah. Vlad, what'd you say?
Biggie, J, and Nas.
Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas. Yeah.
Shout out to Clark Kent. Rest in peace, Clark.
Rest in
Yeah,
peace,
that
Clark.
was a loss.
Yeah.
That was a loss.
Big
man.
one.
Yeah, that was a
Good
big
dude.
one.
Good dude.
I cried my eyes out.
Really?
From where
Yeah.
niggas
Yeah.
pull your cards and argue all day about who's the best MC.
Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas. Yeah, that one hit home. I had this record called Super Math back in the days that Clark produced. It was always important to like, you know, press Clark. He was, you know, the guy. And I used to go to open mics and like win all the showcases with this record. Just like the people hosting would be flying across the stage by the end of the song. Super Math. Everybody's jumping all over the stage. Great shit, man. Good times, man. Rest in peace, Clark, man. Rest in peace, Clark. Spinoza.
You know, long day for me. Started my day at 5 a.m. in the subways.
5 a.m. in the subways.
Yeah.
You're VP of
Subways now for the union, yeah.
You just say subways.
Subway, yeah. Because it's really RTO, but a lot of people don't understand what that is, but trains, basically.
Right.
So, you know, I make up my own schedule, but, you know, some days to catch certain people, you know, I want to start earlier, you know what I mean? So,
Right.
you know, I'm working from here. I'm going back out there, you know, to do what I need to do.
Right.
So, you know.
Shout out to my man Dave. Shout out to J-La. I'm pretty sure they both voted for you.
Yeah, they ran into me too. They
Yeah.
came to my first meeting. Yeah, it was dope.
Dope.
Yeah.
Dope.
Since you've been there, you ain't seen nothing crazy?
Like what?
Anything
Bro,
crazy?
it's crazy stuff all the time, bro.
Because I know there's a lot of mental health, you know,
Oh, that's
going on in
every
the train
day.
station.
I mean,
Yeah.
people shooting up in front of, you know, doing whatever. The EDPs, the people jumping in front of trains. You know, it's the subway. It's New York City. Welcome to New York City.
$3 now, huh?
I ain't got nothing to do with that. I got nothing to do with that.
Come on, bro. That's $3 now?
Yeah, it's $3 now.
It's going up to $3.
I thought it was $3.
It's going
yet.
up to $3.
It's what? How much is it now?
$2.90.
90.
They might as well put $3.
MTA stand for money taking agency.
No, money thrown away.
Money thrown away.
They throw money away, bro. That's the problem.
Yeah, but the money they throw away, they get from everybody else. They take it from everybody.
This is a new tax, congestion pricing. What they gonna do with that money? Oh, we go make the signals better, the trains better. They go and buy the most bullshit equipment, shit break down, and then they not telling the taxpayers this. It was a major issue.
Well, thank God we got you there. Hopefully.
Oh yeah, you know, they already put a hit out on me.
Why am I sitting here?
Hopefully I survive the next one, you know what I mean? But yeah.
Should we be live right now? Should we be live?
Crazy for that one.
Vladius. Yeah. You told me a long time ago that your dream was to be like this new era, 60 Minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
That was your goal. And yeah, it's good to see you still living the dream, still succeeding, you know, big interviews. Yeah, Vlad is in the building. Clap it up, yo.
Vlad.
Clap it up.
Thank you.
Vladimir.
Does he get the most, did he get an award for like the most reoccurring guests? Is there such?
Yeah, I think you are.
Am I the most?
Oh,
the most
it's not
yeah.
close. It's not close.
Yeah.
It's not close.
Wait, no, Graph?
It's not.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
not
think
close.
it's close.
Yeah, Vlad is. Yo,
Fifth time
So
now.
he's like the Tony Yayo of.
You're the Tony Ayo.
Shout out to my man Tony. I was just in Vegas. I watched the 50 Cent show at his residency.
How was it? Because people were bombing.
That's the funny part,
Oh,
right?
shit.
Because we saw that video beforehand. How
Yeah.
that girl was
Vegas
like,
Starfish.
it's the worst show ever. The
Right.
worst show I've ever seen. We watched. I'm like, really? So he showed up. My man Zab Judah was like sitting across from me,
Shout out to Zab.
and it was lit. It was the first time I've ever seen 50 perform,
Right.
and it was packed house, crazy energy. He went through all the big songs and all
Right.
like the B-sides, like a Whoop Your Head Boy, and you know,
That's my shit.
Great graphics all around. He had a big crew of male and female dancers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. So everything was coordinated, and you know what I'm saying? It wasn't just him going like this the whole time, like she claimed.
People was making the joke that he was like, the whole show was just him
They was
going
calling
like,
it the fly swatting
The
dance.
fly swatter. No, he obviously did
He
that
do that
sometimes. but-
every show though.
Yeah, but there was a whole choreographed dance routine
Team
with
to-
both the males and the females.
Yeah.
The dudes was doing backflips, and the girls was all doing their thing.
Right.
And it was sexy and cool. It was a cool show,
Then
man.
they had the one with
Packed house. No one had a bad time.
right.
Nobody had a bad
except
time.
for Homegirl, apparently.
Except for her.
She's a show. She does reviews Vegas like shows, but I think hip hop in general is a new thing for these residencies, right?
Yeah.
So like they're still trying to figure out how to do the hip hop residency.
You got to consider the source whenever you hear somebody tell you that something is good or bad.
Yeah.
You got to remember who it is you're talking to. Because I remember way back in the day reading in the paper when critics used to criticize movies. I remember them saying Menace to Society was trash, terrible movie, garbage.
Right.
And Belly was, oh my God, this is awful. Worst movie ever.
Scarface didn't do well
Scarface got
in the
panned.
theaters. Yeah, the theaters, Scarface got bad reviews, and it wasn't until later
That
that hip hop kind of started to really,
Tony
you know,
Montana
bring
became
in, you know,
like a-
make it part of the fabric that people got excited over it, and then
Right.
it became bigger after, you know.
You
But
got to consider the source.
Yeah.
There are people who will tell you that certain things are trash, but it'll be more reflective of their taste
Yeah.
versus.
I believe she put out a statement after she put that video out. Like I guess she was saying that things were changing. I
she
think
said it got better afterwards.
Yeah.
But you know, what's funny is me and Tony were talking the whole time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying that because of that review, more people showed up. They actually sold more tickets.
Yeah.
Because people, I guess, wanted to see the
I
worst
don't
show
know
ever. Like,
no press
I don't know
is bad
how
press.
he
Yeah,
does
exactly.
it, man, but he just knows how to flip a
He knows how to
negative
flip
into
it.
a positive.
it was a great show.
Constantly.
Like
That's what he
literally,
did with Rotimi.
Yeah,
Remember?
yeah.
Rotimi.
Yeah, this record, I want my money, your record
Punch
is
you in the
out.
face.
But he said that was
no,
press thing.
I interviewed
Right.
Timmy about that. Like they got together and came up with that plan,
yeah.
Right,
and that record popped off
Yeah.
right.
after he did that.
And then he was able to pay him back.
Yeah,
Right.
he paid it back.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then some.
Yeah, Timmy's a good dude. I went to his listening party recently.
Well, you got to imagine that, you know, okay, Usher being the last person who had the residency.
Right.
50's not going to walk around and feed women cherries. Like,
Right.
he's not going to do that.
Or ride
Especially
around
with all
on
the shit that he talks about Diddy. He's just not going to do that.
Or be on skates.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Flying
50
around like
Cent
Chris Brown.
on skate, I whip your head, boy. You know what I mean? Like just rolling around the stage.
Picture 50 singing Wankster on skates. It's just like,
That'll never happen.
See, you a wankster, but you never pop nothing in your face. That's actually a good song to roller skate to if you think about it. Like, it's kind of fire.
nah, hell no.
PIMP gotta get it.
Right?
I know what you
You heard about me. You can't get it out of me. he spelled P with his leg. I'm a PIMP.
That would be funny.
Yeah, that's not happening. That's not happening. But shit, what was the biggest record? What was the one that like the whole room was like, oh shit.
Probably in the club.
I get money?
In the club?
Oh,
In the
word?
club, yeah.
Okay, I didn't see
Wow.
that.
Club. And that was his first official single, so it makes sense.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, it's the one everyone plays at birthday parties.
Yeah.
I mean,
Good.
it's the best
Good.
record.
Which is weird because he says, "'Cause we don't give a fuck, it's not your record." But they still play it. That's what's up. Well, yeah, 50's not riding around giving out cherries, especially how he's been going in on Diddy. And in Diddy news, his lawyer, apparently Cassie, she submitted some videotapes.
Like 9 videotapes.
9 videotapes of the freak-offs that she just had in her possession.
Right. Sex tapes.
Memorabilia.
Yeah. According to the lawyers, it shows consensual sex, no drugs, no coercion.
They're saying it's helping Diddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they saying,
In
yeah,
fact-
oh yeah, release these.
Yeah.
These are the good ones. Let's get these ones out.
They say that she's having a great time in the videos. Like she's more the aggressive one. And
Now,
She's
this is
not
what
the
the
dominating
defense
one.
is saying.
Yeah, she's the dominating
I wanna
one,
be- we always do this. This is what the defense is saying. What is the prosecution saying? Like, I always like looking at both sides. And
Right.
This is what the defense argument is.
What's the prosecution saying?
They said they saw the tapes, right?
Uh-huh.
And that they're consensual and, but the defense is going to make their argument. So I guess the question is, what's the other side?
Yeah, but I've been saying this the whole time. Like the whole time, even when I do Pierce Morgan and I do my own interviews, I keep saying, what exactly is the crime that he's being charged with? It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Okay, he's freaky. Okay, he likes threesomes. He's a cuckold. He likes to masturbate while his girl gets banged by some dude that's well endowed. Okay, fine.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's gay. He's bisexual. All that is legal.
Right.
You know, the beating video was past the statute of limitations, so that can't be part of the case.
Right.
So what exactly is he being charged for?
They're saying he was trafficking.
Sex
Trafficking.
Sex
Okay, so
trafficking.
you have to prove that you forced these people to come over. You know, I mean, listen, if you're paying male prostitutes or female prostitutes, they're happy to go and get their check, right? I mean, I guess technically you could be charged with soliciting prostitution, but that's not a federal case. You know, what is that? A slap on the wrist, misdemeanor?
You just get caught in the back seat of the car every day in the hood. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Exactly. So, I mean, like, what exactly is the crime? Because they're saying it's a RICO.
Right. They are
It's a
saying
one-man RICO.
Yeah.
Lucy calls it a FRICO.
Frico, yeah.
FRICO.
Yeah.
That's basically being charged with a FRICO.
Right.
But right now, all we ever hear is the stuff that he's in trouble in the court of public opinion.
Right.
That's all we hear.
Which doesn't matter.
No, not in the long
Not at
run.
all.
Unless damage to his reputation. I can see a lot of brands walking away, not wanting to deal with him. His star power takes a hit.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But that, I mean, ultimately he's going to be rich regardless. You know, if he beats this case and gets out, he'll still be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He's not going to be broke. So, yes, I mean, he could possibly sue or for defamation or whatever else, but like, what exactly is he being charged with and what exactly is he going to be convicted for?
Being a cold-blooded freak.
Cold-blooded
It's
freak.
illegal.
It's not illegal.
It's crazy,
It's
man.
freak,
It's
man.
crazy.
Do you think that the reason these charges happened was because he upset someone powerful?
That's a conspiracy theory. I never really signed on to those. I think that just like everyone else who are in the public, we all clout chase to a certain degree. So I think that Cassie lawsuit created so much attention
Right.
that the feds looked at it and said, okay, maybe we could take this civil case and turn it into a criminal case and take down this huge megastar
Right.
and, you know, make our career.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So
Do you think that's really what it is? Like the feds are just looking for some sort of clout.
absolutely.
Always.
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 Just-
Always.
it is.
You make a career off of taking down someone like a Diddy
That's
or a
like-
Young Thug or a Lil Durk. Like these are career making moves.
As in, this is how you end up on Capitol Hill.
Exactly.
You go from like a regular prosecutor to the guy who gets your name carries recognition.
Right.
But the guy that's prosecuting him got transferred out of or he resigned.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
he
a
resigned. He stepped
different
down.
person. But they're still going on with the case. And look, a lot of these guys and women, after they leave the feds, they start their own law firms. And when you have a Fed case, you want to go with a formal federal prosecutor to represent you because they have entire buildings
Right.
that are built around them.
Right.
So this is a lot of these people are thinking long term.
So I guess the perk is you could take down someone who has the money for the best lawyers. It's like proof of, all right, I went up against the greatest competition and I was triumphant.
Right.
So I'm the prosecutor that you need
Did
for,
you know?
for
Did
whatever.
you know who Johnny Cochran was before the OJ trial?
Nope.
Most people
No.
didn't.
No,
But
didn't.
afterwards, he's a legend.
Yep.
He was doing commercials after he got OJ off.
Right.
He became a legend.
The firm is still around, I think. The Johnny Cochran
the
firm is
Cochran
still
firm
around
is
after his
still a
death.
thing. It's Vlad is. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
They want to make their bones and get their names up in lights just like everybody else. The big headlines lead to big jobs later on.
Now I've always wondered this because the OJ trial was they made it public. Who gets the check when
What check?
when a TV channel says we want to publicize this trial?
Well, certain trials allow cameras
Right.
in the courtroom. So, for example, in LA, you can't have cameras in the courtroom anymore.
Right.
And they probably changed the laws after the OJ trial. So, if you look at like Tory Lane's case, no cameras. Right.
Right.
But if the judge allows cameras in the courtroom, then you just apply for a permit to film, and then there's no cost. You just have to pay for the camera person who's filming.
So for something that's potentially
Like the Young Thug case, that in Georgia they allow cameras, so you saw the whole Young Thug case
whole Young Thug
every day. Yeah.
right.
Advertising goes up. If you
So
ask them
it's-
where the money comes in, advertising goes up.
Producers
No,
get
I know
paid.
that.
Yeah.
but the court doesn't accept a dime for this.
Oh
right?
no,
I
absolutely.
mean, there might be a fee that you pay the court for the ability to
Mhm.
film there, but it's
But
not
it's
going to
not
be like $10,000 or anything. It's just, it's just part of the regular court proceedings. You got to pay for everything in the court. You got to pay for,
But that is
the person who does the transcription. You got to pay for everything. Yeah,
stenographer.
yeah,
But
exactly.
Now you have extra hands on deck as far as the cops are concerned, and they got to keep the peace, and it's overtime hours that need to be billed, and et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
A lot of money being. I do think though, as far as like there not being a conspiracy theory, I think we throw that term around a lot when agendas align, there doesn't need to be a formal conspiracy. I think if Diageo wanted to get him out of the paint, and there are other people ready to hop on the bandwagon and take advantage, we use the analogy all the time. If you get hit by a car, somebody walks up to you while you're laying in the street and takes your wallet. They didn't sit in the car, but they're happy to take the opportunity to come up.
Mm-hmm.
I think when Diddy started flexing, there's always some, you got to have, if your hands aren't clean, there's somebody who can go, oh, word? Okay, well, check this out. And, people have a lot of money. And if it benefits them for you to fall, to get you out the way, get you out the paint, there are plenty of people around who, wait a minute, what? Oh, word? Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's line that up.
So basically, what I'm getting at is, pre-trial. These media companies, the news, CNNs, NBCs, they can hype something up to make it look like someone is the devil, all to sway public opinion, to get this person convicted by a grand jury, so that they can pretty much have free material that they can charge ad companies millions of dollars for.
Well, I mean, yes and no. So a grand jury, from what I understand, I think is sort of a broken part of the legal system, because Johnny Cochran said that he can convict a ham sandwich with a grand jury.
Mm-hmm.
A grand jury works is you go to the judge.
Not convict.
Indict. I'm sorry. Indict. You're right. Indict a ham sandwich with a grand jury. Because you're not convicted yet. So basically, law enforcement goes to the judge and says, okay, we want to indict Diddy. And they say, okay, show me the proof. So they'll bring in some witnesses. And the grand jury will say, that's not enough. Okay, give us a week.
Right.
They'll come back the next week with more witnesses. It's not enough. Next week, okay, now we got documents, we got videos. Not enough. They can keep going for months until they get enough for the grand jury to say, okay, that's worthy of an indictment. During that time, the person who's being indicted doesn't have their lawyers to argue any of this. So it's a one-sided argument.
Right.
These people that are coming in, to present evidence to the grand jury could be wackos who have never met Diddy.
Right.
Or they just want to be part of something.
Right.
So, but the grand jury listens to it, and at one point they says, okay, enough to indict. And then that's when the indictment comes. Because, the grand jury had been going with Diddy for a while, for months, until, because remember the houses got raided, and then nothing happened for months.
Then the Cassie stuff came out.
And the Cassie video came out, but
And
still
then-
nothing happened.
Right.
And then he got arrested.
But this is what I'm saying.
Because the grand jury.
But this is what I'm saying. The media companies or the, they can pretty much smear someone. I'm not saying that, Diddy's innocent. I'm not saying he's guilty. I'll leave that up to you guys, right? But they can pretty much paint a picture of this person being a monster with the documentaries, with the reportings, interviewing certain people who will put them in a certain light. All so that they can chase pretty much free coverage of something that they can make millions of dollars off of.
Right. I mean, YouTube made millions of dollars off of the Diddy, off the Young Thug case.
Right.
Can he sue though?
No.
If he beat this case right here, he's found.
Well, he can
No,
sue.
he
He
can't-
can sue
he can't
maybe
sue
for
defamation.
defamation.
YouTube.
No. There's
None of these people that's
he'd have to
supposed
go
to-
after individuals
Yeah, he'd
on
have
some
to go after
defamation.
individuals.
He can't go after like a whole company for doing what companies do. that wouldn't work. It'd be a waste of money.
Although Drake is doing it right now.
Drake
Not
is
very
doing
successfully.
it right
Well, we'll see how that.
Well, he filed a new federal suit, I believe,
He is
today.
doing it right now.
He's
Yep.
going after UMG
We'll see how
For
that.
for defamation, and they're saying that they pushed the record and they helped get Kendrick into the Super Bowl to give that song a huge stage. I think this whole time, to me, it seems like these lawsuits are designed to stop Kendrick from performing that song at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what I think.
I've always
I
thought
think
that
that's the okay. He won't perform that song. Okay, we'll drop the lawsuit.
Right.
We all go on.
We got a month.
How
left.
many weeks?
That's what I think.
We got like a month left.
All right. So let's close out this Diddy situation. The lawyers are saying that the freak off tapes that Cassie submitted is actually a good look.
I don't know if they're saying it's a good look. I was saying they're saying it helps prove his innocence.
That's a
They're
good
saying,
look.
they're saying it proves that there's no one there.
No foul
Everybody's
play.
there under their own because they want to be. Everybody's having a good time.
Consensual.
They don't see any drugs. They don't see anything crazy.
No one's underage.
Can I-
They're all
right.
adults.
Can I ask why she kept them?
We don't
Anybody know why she kept these
that.
9
Just
videos?
in
She's
case it go down
you know
and
what
it
I'm
hit
saying?
the fan, I got this right here.
Nah, if they
Well,
saying what they
celebrity?
saying it is, you know, she was dominating in the video. She having a good time. She a freak too.
Wait.
So you
Allegedly.
Are they? Who's saying that? Who's saying
I
that
seen
she's
that-
who's saying that?
It
See,
was
that's what we
reported-
gotta watch.
it was-
does anybody know anyone who's seen these videos in this room?
No.
I know.
I have, but I have seen a nude photo of Cassie.
The nude photo.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this was early on. This was maybe around 2010 or so, and I had gotten a copy of Cassie basically naked on her bed. Right.
That's regular.
Yeah. But this was the early VladTV.com days where we were just posting anything, right? So we post a picture. And then the views, I think it was like our biggest traffic day ever. It's going crazy, right? So then my man Sean Prez, who was working for Bad Boy at the time, was like, call me up. This is my man. He's like, yo, Diddy wants to talk to you. And I said, I'm not taking that phone call. He's like, what? You don't want to talk to Diddy? I'm like, no, because I know what's going to happen. He's going to yell at me over the phone, and I'm not going to have a man yell at me because then I'll start yelling back, and it'll just escalate, and it'll be a waste of my time, right?
So it's going to turn into a Steve South situation? While you're on the phone, some guys just walk in.
Just walk in,
Okay,
right.
Vlad, you know the routine.
Right.
Stick your arm out.
So I'm just like, champagne bottle there, the whole nine, right? So I'm just like, man, fuck it, I'm not talking to him. So views are going crazy, views are going crazy. Now keep in mind at the time, Vlad TV was located in SRC Records.
Right.
We were part of like Steve Rifkin's kind of
Shout out
company.
to Steve.
Yeah, and which is part of Universal and so forth.
Right.
So then Steve Rifkin calls me. He's like, listen, Puffy just yelled at me for the last 10 minutes. Can you please take this photo down? And I'm like, I got you, Steve.
Wow.
I got you. Because he's asking me, and I have office space in his company, so I can't say no to him.
Right.
So I was like, all right, I'll take it down.
If you were somewhere else, you would have kept it up.
I would have kept it up. And what's funny is like, maybe like a week later, I was at a club, and Diddy was there.
Right.
And he was passing. I was like, yo, what up? Diddy, Vlad from Vlad. He goes, oh, yeah. No, I didn't like that shit that you did. I said, yeah, we took it down. Okay, cool. No beef. They just kept walking.
All right, Vlad, I got to ask you, man.
Go ahead.
You get a picture of Cassie. She's
Yeah.
naked. Why would you put it up?
Thank you. That was my question.
Because at the time, that's what everyone was doing. You see what I'm saying?
Vlad.
This was, I mean, it is
Sound
what
like
it
you was
is.
trying to
Vlad
just,
foul.
yeah.
Not. I mean,
This was the early days of the internet. This was before, like things were taken down and social media wasn't really big back then. So it's like you were posting on your website, not on social media. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, would I post it now in 2025? Absolutely not.
You didn't think back then that you wouldn't get no flack for that?
I mean, everyone was posting it.
Right.
World Star had it up. Like,
Right.
all the blogs had it up. It was everywhere.
Right.
We were just one of many websites that had it up. And from what I understand, Diddy was personally calling every website to get it taken down.
Right.
One by one. And I was like the last one.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, listen, right now, knowing what I know now and business-wise, absolutely, I wouldn't even touch it.
How did that picture get out, though?
I don't know.
Great question.
Do you still have the picture?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Another great question.
I don't think so.
You sure?
Vlad,
Email somewhere.
Yeah, Vlad got it somewhere.
No, I really don't. No, I'm being honest.
Right.
I'm being honest. But I never I've been around Cassie. I never really found her that attractive, to be honest. I mean, she was pretty, but she wasn't like, oh my God. Like,
Right.
okay, cute, mixed girl, like, you know.
It's not your taste.
Not so much.
Well, everybody has their own preference.
Everyone has their own preference.
Yeah.
Clearly, Diddy was
I
completely
think she's
obsessed with her.
beautiful. I think Cassie's beautiful.
Yeah, no, I've been
never
around
said
her a
she
couple
was
times. Like
Yeah.
I said, to me, it was like, okay, she's cute. I'm not going to say she's not attractive. She's attractive, but it wasn't like throw your life away over her. Like,
Well, who
they
stole
pretty
your
much did.
who stole your life away for Vlad?
That's what I was about to ask. Who's gorgeous? Like you were
Oh,
saying.
gorgeous? Oh, I mean, I'll say J-Lo in her prime.
J-Lo in the prime. If you got
Shakira in her prime.
if you got a nude photo of J-Lo,
What's the name of the girl on the former Miss America that's on the reality shows? The black Miss America, the dark-skinned girl. She's on Housewives and all that shit. You know what I'm talking about.
I feel like I know who you're talking about. I'm trying to remember her
You
name.
say black? I think Vanessa Williams.
Now, Vanessa Williams,
I
she's very
Lori?
beautiful. as well.
Okay, I think
Who?
that was who
Lori?
I was going with.
No.
Vanessa.
Vanessa Williams is the first one.
Yeah.
I forgot how, but she was on all
Can
the,
we get a
She got it.
what's the name?
Kenya Moore. Kenya Moore in her prime.
Oh,
Kenya Moore.
yeah, hey.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Right.
Like drop dead gorgeous.
Okay.
So yeah, those are the kind of women that
You'll throw it away for.
I'll throw it away for.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Not a pinky. Not a.
Not a pinky, no pinky.
Not a Meg Thee Stallion.
Meg Thee is beautiful.
Oh, you
Yeah.
throw it away for Meg Thee Stallion?
I mean, not right now, but you know,
Hilarious.
you know, in certain situations, yeah, no, yeah, Meg's definitely beautiful. Yeah, but like I said, Cassie was like, you know, a skinny mixed girl.
So forget
She
about
just
this
was-
idea of beauty is only
Skin
skin
deep.
deep. No.
Well, I never got to know her.
We're only
So
talking
maybe
about-
once I got to know her,
we're
I
talking
think
about skin.
differently about her.
Why?
This is
Because
about-
we're talking about throwing it away for
Because
somebody.
we don't know the woman to tell you anything else about.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I
We're
guess
just
the
going off the
argument would
looks.
be like the whole thing with Diddy and Cassie, right? Like, how did this?
Well, he knows her.
Right.
He knows her, so it's different. Plus, I mean, he took her from Ryan Leslie.
Okay.
I interviewed Ryan about that too.
What did he say?
I mean, he kind of danced around it. You could tell he was hurt.
He was hurt.
Yeah.
So he felt as if he had his girl taken away.
I think that's essentially
Okay.
what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
I know the story. I know the story, but I want to know what he said.
That was his girlfriend.
Yes.
She wasn't a singer.
Yes.
He produced Me and You.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Brought it to Bad Boy. They signed. You know, they signed Cassie to Bad Boy. Then
Yep.
Puffy. You know, I went through the whole lawsuit. I interviewed Roger Bonds, who was a security during that whole time.
Yep.
He pretty much co-signed every
I
part
saw
of
that interview.
Yeah. So, you know, Diddy basically would fly her out and tell her not to bring Ryan, and then he would, you know, give her ecstasy and stuff like that, and they started having sex, and next thing you know, she's with Diddy. Not with Ryan.
So I know the story, and I saw the Roger Bonds interview, and I've seen a lot of the interviews. The reason why I'm asking about it is because we were just talking about the Diddy documentary
Mhm.
that came out on Peacock.
That you were in.
As a
She's in it.
journalist,
She's in it. Kim is in
I
it.
was
Just so y'all know.
speaking as a journalist on his career.
I'm just saying.
Which
We
I
not
know
in there.
about.
We had
All
nothing
right.
to do with that.
You know, Kim is in this documentary. You know, if y'all fuck with Kim, go support it, I guess.
It's not mine. It's not mine.
But you're in it, right? Like,
I'm
This nigga's
interviewed.
crazy.
if
in
people
the
go watch
documentary.
because of you, then that raises your stock, right? Then you be able to, like, yo, I want 50,000 next video.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, that it is. It
Anyway.
is.
Anyway.
Right.
Okay, so I'm in the documentary. All right, I'm in the documentary.
They
Anyway.
calling you messy.
No. Here we go. Don't do this. Don't
Right.
do this. We're gonna hold that thought. But the reason why I bring it up is because one of the things that I found very interesting about the documentary was that they interviewed Albie Shore. And Albie Shore spoke about his relationship with Kim Porter. And this was like one of the first times I've seen him give so much in an interview. And he talked about Diddy and how he got with Kim Porter when Albie was with her and how Diddy and Kim Porter met. I was just curious if anybody has seen it because I thought it was good. It was like very similar to the Ryan Leslie thing.
Well, right, because Diddy essentially adopted Albie Shore and Kim Porter's son.
But
as-
well,
Not
Albie
legally.
Shore,
Not legally?
I'll Be Sure cleared that up. He said
wait.
everyone believes that Quincy was adopted by Puff, but that's not true. And then he said that Quincy's last name is still his last name.
Oh.
And he definitely addressed that in this documentary. So I have found it really interesting because there were a lot of things in there that I had never seen before.
He basically said it was a narrative created by a publicist, but that it never actually happened on paper.
I thought Roger Bond said the same thing about when he said she got 4 of those things. Kim Porter, when they was going through they little disagreement.
Right, because
And that's how he figured out that Quincy was adopted or something like that.
But
Allegedly.
Quincy's not,
I mean,
not
I'll be sure
adopted.
say, yeah,
According
yeah,
to
yeah.
Al Be Sure,
Yeah.
he was never adopted, that was all something that Kim had asked him to fall back when it came to interfering, I guess. So that was his story on the documentary. So if you watch the documentary, I hate that you're imitating. Yes, I talk with my hands. I'm going to keep doing it.
I'm just saying.
I have to. It's just a...
All right, chat. I want to ask y'all just real quick, and everybody in the room: can someone really take your girl?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
She wasn't
She was
yours.
never yours if she went.
Yeah.
If she went, she was never yours. It was just your turn.
Right. I'm just against grown
I
men.
don't know about that.
I
With-
do.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Because you just never know. You just never know. And everyone gets starstruck in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So you could, I'm married to her, I got 2 kids, she would never leave, whatever else. But then someone comes in who they're a huge fan of and could offer them a lifestyle that you cannot provide at all.
She's
I could
not
see how you could
yours.
get.
She's not yours.
Look at it the other way. Look at it the other way. Do you think that if you're in a relationship with a girl, there is no girl in the world that can come in and potentially get you to leave your girl? See what I'm saying? It goes both ways.
Maybe.
See what I'm saying?
No, it,
Maybe,
again,
maybe,
again,
maybe
goes both
not.
ways.
But it would, I would say the same thing about, yo, sis, she wasn't, he, if a woman is waiting for the upgrade, if she can leave you whenever the upgrade presents itself, then your whole shit is borrowed time.
But she's not waiting for the upgrade. An upgrade just pops up out of nowhere.
I'm not,
You see
no,
what I'm saying?
Right.
No, but
Upgrade-
if
yeah.
the upgrade,
She's not waiting.
just
to
calling
leave you.
another man to upgrade is like,
Well, we
like,
talking about
what are
lifestyle.
we doing here?
No,
what are we doing?
he said specifically lifestyle. If he can offer your girl a lifestyle that is above the one that you're at right now, and she goes, for me, that's the upgrade. And I'm not saying she's sitting around waiting it, but some women position themselves around powerful men and they go for, what do they call it? The BBD, the bigger, better deal, right? That's not new. We people have said that. My grandfather said that. The bigger, better deal. There are women who, when the situation comes around, when the situation comes, it's
I don't know the D is deal. I don't
Are you sure the D stands for deal?
You sure the D stands for deal, bro? I'm just saying. In my experience, it's not usually deal, bro. It's not-
Was you a child when you heard that?
yes.
All right, so they gave you the PG-13
no,
version.
no.
Bigger, better deal. Deal.
That's not the case because these women will make a move before they know if this dude is good in bed. Regardless, he's got money. It's not about sex.
Yep.
It's about bread. He could be worse in bed, but his bread is way up. So they move on for the bigger, better deal. And if that's the case, she's not yours, bro. She was waiting for the opportunity. Or she wasn't waiting for the opportunity, but when the opportunity came, she moved accordingly.
Well, I gotta ask then. Does it make sense for a man to be sitting around saying somebody stole my girl?
No, not really. No, you just
And
gotta
this
take
is
that.
why I couldn't really get with the Al Be Sure shit, because I'm like, steal your girl. I mean,
But let's not act like in this game that isn't a
Niggas
thing.
will use that against you.
That
though.
isn't a thing.
If
Wait.
there's a
I
fallout.
know men who will say that's a thing that they do in the industry, right? Like, so,
It's
you know,
Mr. Steal Your Girl.
thank you.
Trey Songz had a whole.
That's somebody in the comments
it's
said,
Mr. Fighting Cases. That's what it is.
Work out.
He has
That's-
$11 million
that's a thing.
judgment against him right now.
He has another $1 million.
11 million.
Pause that. Pause
Yeah.
that. We're gonna get back to that.
Listen, I feel like I understand what everyone's saying, and I respect everyone's opinion, but I think people try to look at men and women like they're drastically different. You see what I'm saying? Like, you could be in a relationship and you could love your girl, y'all could have a kid together and everything else like that, but suddenly your dream girl walks in the room and she's interested in you. You weren't planning on leaving, but it's like, yo, you know, like, let's just, like I said, like, Kenya Moore walks in in her prime, and she's like, listen, I'll fuck with you. You can quit your job. I'll support you. You know,
that means you're not with your dream girl.
Right.
Number one. Number two.
But who can you have one dream?
Yeah,
can you have? Is it just one dream?
You have multiple dreams.
I dream every night. I dream every night.
Even before you get to that, the point is still, if you bounce, and to be more correct, yes, men and women are not that different, but our roles in society are vastly different.
I understand.
A woman being taken care of by a rich man is regular. A man being taken care of by a rich woman is considered weak. We have two different.
I'm going to say this: if you're in a relationship,
tell that to everybody Halle Berry's ever dated.
Look,
bro, hold on. Fat Joe sat in this chair, told us how Remy Ma took 10 men out to dinner. She paid for the dinner. Remember?
Right.
Took 10 grown men, paid for 10 grown men to eat. That was seen as kind of a thing to say. Right. If a man paid for 10 women, he just paid for dinner. Nobody would differentiate who was what at the table.
Right.
I got the check. It's not. We've been out to dinner with you. Math got the check. Before we even saw Math got the check. Nobody said Math took 10 grown men out. Nah, Math got the bill.
But I see it like
it's expected. No,
I see it like this.
It's
Going
expected.
back to your point of if she left, she was never yours. If you want to go by that mentality, if you and your girl ain't seeing eye to eye, y'all having friction in the relationship, then she ain't yours. Because women react more emotionally than physically than with us.
Okay.
Here we go.
And I disagree. I disagree with him. Hold
Here
on, Kim.
we go.
Kim, I might be on your side if you
Go ahead, chime in.
Okay.
I might be on your side if you
Go
let
ahead.
me. The difference is, does she decide to stay and work it out with you? Or does she just bounce at the first sign of an argument? If she bounces at the first sign of any kind of friction, then yeah, she was just there for a good time.
Now you could say that's not your girl.
But if you have friction and she's like, well, we gonna work it out or we gonna figure it out. If there's beef and y'all figure it out, then yeah, she's rocking with you.
What I would want to know from Al B. Shaw and Ryan Leslie, what was the status before she walked out? Was they rocky? Was everything all good? And she just left me? Like, what's going on there? They ain't gonna tell those. You know what I'm saying?
Great question.
What were you obsessing over another man's comments towards your girlfriend? And did you ever voice how you felt about it to that man? Because if a dude just walks in the room and he's just flirting with my girl, there's no way I'm not saying something to him like, yo, homie, what you doing? Like, because you're really sending shots at me. If you're doing it and I'm present, you're really talking to me. I mean, there was a situation where I was walking with my baby mother one day, and she's holding my arm. And, you know, she had a little bubble or whatever. And when we walked past a porch full of guys, one of them did the, you know what I'm saying? The kissy noise.
Yeah.
So I stopped and I looked.
Yeah.
And she's like, chill, don't pay no mind to it or whatever. But I'm like, you're really talking to me.
Yeah, that's a fact, because you there.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I took her home. I went to the crib, picked up my buddy, and I came back. And I had some words with these guys. And come to find out, they pointed out the bozo who did it and backed away from him. So he looked like an idiot at the end of the day. I don't have to go into any other details, but, you know, it's sucker shit.
So let me ask you this. Because do you think that Meek Mill took Nicki Minaj from Safari?
No. I think that
Nicki was over it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nicki was over it. And I interviewed Safari. And I also know people that were around them and knew Safari and so forth. Nicki was unbelievably abusive to Safari.
Mm-hmm.
She would scream at him in front of a room full of people like it was nothing.
Right.
So she didn't respect him anymore. So at the point that someone else came around and she vibed with, she was like, all right, well, this is my transition out of this situation. From my point of view, based on interviewing him and talking to people.
Right.
You know, look, I remember I was at a party with my ex and Quincy Jones kind of hollered at her. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's like 80-something years old, you know? And I'm
Right.
like, I thought it was cute. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I thought it was
Quincy.
funny. What am I going to do? Like slap Quincy
Oh,
Jones in front of everybody?
Quincy.
Like, yo.
That was cute.
You know, I'm at like a billionaire's
Until
party.
she
Like,
leaves.
Until she leaves.
It's
With
cute
Quincy.
till she goes.
yeah. You know, rest in peace,
OG.
Quincy Jones.
Till she hops on the PJ.
Yeah, I mean, look, people, you know, I think Chris Rock said men are as loyal as their options.
Facts.
And I think women are as well. I think people try to say that men and women are totally different. I don't think they are. I think if a woman constantly has options and things aren't going good at home, she might explore those options.
Right.
They you know,
Well, he added, and things aren't going good at
yeah.
Okay.
You know,
added
if,
that
if
part.
you're totally happy with who you are, then you're not tripping.
there has
But,
to
you know,
be-
but when are things totally great at home? Like,
Listen.
it's a relationship. Things fluctuate.
If you're having sex with your girl and the bone ratio is like more on your side, you're in trouble. You're in trouble, bro. Like, if you the one making all the noise, nigga, you in trouble, bro. She's out of there. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's just practicing with you. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
Shit.
What's
That's stupid.
Who had that song called "Money Makes Me Come"? What chick was that?
Oh, I don't remember
I
that.
remember that song.
I remember
that
that song. Money make me. I remember.
Money,
that.
money
That was,
make me.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a record.
I don't.
There are women who no. Okay, how about this one? No romance without finance.
Yeah.
Now that was
Remember
the
that one?
anthem.
That's a
That was the
lie.
anthem.
That is a huge lie.
That's a pimp line.
I mean, look
But
at
it
Hot
is-
Girls
no,
versus City Girls.
But that is a
Right.
huge lie,
Good
bro. I've been dead broke romancing the shit out of people, bro. Like, there's no way.
Where
Nah,
are those
son.
women now?
They're around. They're around.
Finance.
I guarantee you I can pick up the phone and be like,
You're not
because they're
broke
like,
now.
oh, and he got money
Yo,
now?
Risa, yeah,
You're
exactly.
not, you're not
Nigga,
broke
no,
now.
when you're broke, you're more creative.
Well, you also have more time.
Yeah.
Yes. You're
Bad time to romance. I tell
Be
people
on the
all
phone with
time.
them for hours, you know.
You know,
Listening to all the
whoever got
bullshit.
You're
time to
never
talk to
rushing
you all
away.
day long.
You're unemployed.
shit
so
going
you're
on.
not running away.
I
To
mean, I
do
think
your
for
job, like,
a guy, if your girl leave you, like you got a certain amount of money and she leave you for a dude who got less money than you, I think that hurts more, man.
No, it's not the hurt. It's people got different love languages, and if she, for whatever reason, she requires a certain amount of attention that she can't get from you because you're too busy taking care of everything else in life, then that attention might draw her away. Now, once she figures out, okay, I got the attention, but we dead broke and we freezing, right? You know what I'm saying? It might change her opinion, but some women, they like to feel catered to, and there has to be a balance in your relationship. Even if you are the guy that takes care of everything, it has to be some sort of balance where let me stop this and take care of home. Home is necessary. Like, fuck how many bills I pay. If I don't romanticize my woman, it's not gonna work. You know what I'm saying?
That's the love language.
Yeah, that's
You want
a
a
love
broke
language,
man
yeah.
or a busy one?
Right.
Yeah.
But even when you're busy, you gotta find that time, bro.
Yep.
Cause I guarantee you there's broke niggas in the DMs all day. Like, I could just spend the whole day talking to you.
I've lost
I love your personality.
I've lost women working at the source, busiest time of my life. I've lost relationships flat out
Just because you didn't give them enough time.
because that was a deal breaker.
Right.
Quality time
Time.
was
Yep.
a deal breaker.
Mine too.
We're their deal breakers. And
Right.
I ran
Absolutely.
into that wall every time.
Quality time. Not all of your time.
Yeah, no. But it depends on what woman we're talking about.
Right.
Some of them really want to be the center of your universe.
Right.
But unfortunately, that doesn't pay. So
Doesn't pay.
if they were depending on what kind of woman you
What's my
find,
philosophy?
attention is the new currency. That's what
Leave.
you're saying. Oh, leave. Oh, yeah. That one.
That
That
one.
philosophy.
That one.
Leave fast, leave swift.
I just think there are women who would understand the responsibilities of a man, and then there's selfish women who only see, I'm only seeing what I need.
Yeah.
I'm not even thinking about supporting you or whatever. I'm just seeing what I'm not getting. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like when you're pursuing something, a career or whatever, or new endeavors, or it's not healthy to be in a relationship.
Unless you have a partner.
I don't know.
Who has the
Unless
say?
you have,
No,
unless you have a
No.
partner.
I don't know about that because I
don't think it's healthy.
I mean, I think people try to say this is how it is all the time, but the reality is that every pair of people have a combination that work with each other.
Right.
See what I'm saying? You could be with someone and spend almost no time with them and they'll be totally understanding of it. You could be with someone who you're constantly spending time with them and it's not enough.
And it's not enough.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Everyone has a way of functioning with each other. People, you know, I've been in relationships where I'm arguing every other day. And I've been in other relationships, 2 years we've not had a single argument.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I'm still the same person, but the person who I'm with is different.
Right.
And we have a different way of commingling with each other.
Right.
So I don't like to have these general rules across the board. Some people are very understanding of your situation and feel, you know, happy to be in a relationship with you and will work around you.
Right.
Other people are like, fuck this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's not enough.
It's
I'll
not
go
enough.
get someone
I deserve
who
more.
I deserve more.
Right.
It's always different.
One size doesn't.
And then there'll be
Yeah.
a chick that speaks to you one time a week, and she's just the most positive thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like you get off the phone like,
Normally those women
go
are
right
too
back
busy
to
doing
arguing.
what they need to do to be worried about what it is you're doing.
So can a man take a girl?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
man.
No, he can make himself available and she can make a decision.
Yeah, I mean, which is kind of the same thing, I think.
Because taking for me sounds like you had an option. And you really didn't. You don't own that one.
Right.
Man, if you
I'm
married
not
to
mad
her
about you.
and she go out and she leave you for somebody else and marry, dude took your girl, bro.
She ain't
You
give
still
a fuck
don't
about
own
that.
this.
I'm gonna
You
say this.
still don't own somebody.
If that
Marriage or not, kids or
if
not.
that's what it is, I don't think that the respect level can never really be what it's supposed to be. If a guy feels like I took you from another guy,
Yeah.
I think you're property.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I presented him up that I took you and I could take another. Whenever I'm done with you, I'm just gonna take another.
Once he takes her, he ain't gonna be able to trust her because
Yeah,
his
now I
mind.
know how loyal you
Right.
are.
So then he bring
I don't know about that.
they
I'm just
somebody
saying,
else,
these
somebody richer,
hard, fast
in the
rules.
room, or just as much money and taller and better looking.
Now,
like it's
when,
trouble.
when Cassie went with the trainer, was she still with Diddy?
Yes. In fact, I heard he hired the trainer for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But clearly the trainer gave her something that Diddy could not.
Probably attention.
Peace. Maybe it was
Right.
just peace.
Not
Maybe
a
it's just
beat
peace.
down.
Maybe it
What?
was just peace.
Yeah. Or just that time.
Right.
You know, and,
Or maybe-
they had kids together. Maybe Diddy didn't want to have any more kids.
Possible.
You know, there's a lot of
Or
things
maybe
going
she
on.
was tired of the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Which also happened.
Or maybe he was standing in the closet the whole time.
Or maybe she was tired of getting beat.
Or
Beat up.
maybe
I
he's
said
seen the
peace
check.
first.
Yeah.
I said peace first.
Peace.
Maybe he
Right.
wanted to feel like he took Diddy girl.
That.
I
Right.
just think he was happy to walk away with it.
Maybe Diddy took another girl.
I think Diddy took a lot of women.
It's a lot.
If
I mean,
you
you
can
go all
consider
day.
it taken, I just think, you know.
Listen.
Bro, it's
Or
just-
maybe it just wasn't that big of a deal if,
Probably not.
if these reports on what was going on in the freak
Wasn't
offs is
Carisha
real. Like,
around? Wasn't DC and Carisha?
Yeah, like
yeah, like,
Come on, bro.
the other one that he had the baby from too. He had her.
The
as
Asian-
well.
the Asian
Yeah, I forgot.
one.
I forgot her name.
Yeah.
But he had her. You know, it's a few girls.
It's just your
What are you going to do? Huh?
it's Mr. Steal Your Girl. Did we transition to this guy? Look, at the end of the day, love who you love. When that love finds its way towards the end or doesn't seem to be working anymore and you guys can't adjust to make things work, I'm a firm believer in God will always provide something great for me. So even if I have to let something go that I really, really value, I always believe that as long as I live right, God will provide something even better for me. So, Don't be worried if a nigga took your girl. That's what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying? Don't stress that shit, man. Don't stress that shit. Don't stress that shit, man.
You lose money chasing women, not the other way around.
That's a fact. That is a fact.
What was that Kanye line? I don't know what's better, getting paid or getting laid. I know when I'm chasing one, the other's getting away.
Man, go back to what Mace said. Lick what? Chase who?
Dang, what Mace do.
Find another girl that would love to replace you.
Say it to your face, boo. Not my
Tell it to your
back.
facts. Tell it to your face. Women don't like to hear shit like that.
Nah.
Like, I would not have deep. They don't like to hear shit like that.
All right, folks. Yeah.
You out?
It's about that time.
Wow.
It's about
Wow.
that time.
This time.
Here we go.
Mecc, you go to the studio?
Something like that. Something like that. Dragon season comes out this Friday.
All right, for those of you that don't know, Mecc has been hard at work with Busta Rhymes, creating a classic album.
What I hope is a classic.
What
Right.
you hope.
You hope.
You act like you never heard it.
Oh, it's not that. What does that have to do?
In your opinion, it's a classic album.
I know what public opinion.
You got to understand, there's connoisseurs and then consumers. If you're a connoisseur, like I could play a record for somebody who loves bars and they'd be like, yo, you hear what he said?
Greatest
A
thing ever.
consumer might have just heard da-da-da and never enjoy the work that was put into that verse. So,
Well, like
You know.
Kim said, well, I got regional ears, right?
Oh my gosh. Can we just all start over? Can we do that? Hi guys, my name is Kim. Contrary to popular belief, I like peace, and I'm
Why
not
can't
messy.
we be friends? Why can't we?
So
that's funny. Somebody used that in the post.
they did. So Mecc is not leaving because he doesn't like us.
He's fired!
Absolutely not.
This is not the narrative we want
Absolutely
you
not.
to run with.
100%. Please don't think that shit.
Listen, man, you can't give a fuck what people say, man. You can't, bro. You
Can't
can't.
please everybody.
You can't.
So
Simple
why are
as
you
that.
trying?
But know that when you leave, we're gonna talk a lot of shit.
They talk shit while I'm here. What the fuck?
Clap it up for Mecca, y'all.
Boy.
My
Let's take a break.
brother. My brother. When I get that
See
Grammy, I'm
you.
bringing it in here.
Yo, welcome back. My expert opinion. Hit the like, hit the share. Let everybody know you in here. Don't cost you no paper. Even if you's a motherfucking hater. So, yeah, hit that like. We trying to get this up to. Let's get up to. Let's aim high. Let's get to 5,000 in the chat. Let's get to 5,000 in the chat. I need all my true supporters to hit that like, hit that share, hit that like, and hit that share. It pushes us up into the algorithm in case you don't know. So anytime you see a drop, anytime you see a video from my expert opinion or this channel go out, the more interaction we get within the hour, because I know it says 1 million subscribers, but it's not like 1 million people get the alert. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why it's like that, but it's like that. So, you know, we need those likes, we need those shares, support the channel. We were just listening to a snippet of Jim Jones' new record, where he's talking about remind them who you are. He has the Harlem record out right now. And Cam was kind of going in on Jim on Monday. We didn't really get to speak on it. His claims that Jim is not from Harlem and
He was never one of those guys. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's a whole lot of shit. How do y'all feel about this Jim and Cam shit?
I feel like, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, they created something that the world loved. Diplomats, everybody loved that group. I felt like they could have kept that in-house.
Well, apparently they couldn't because, like I said before, that question that Cam asked 50 about getting Jim to come perform at his concert or Five Borough tour, whatever it was, right?
With Jim
As a friend.
and Jewels showed up.
And Jewels. As a friend, I wouldn't have asked that question. I've asked this question plenty of times throughout the years. Are Cam and Jim really friends? I don't know. Because the shit that they do to each other is just like, I don't get it. Like it doesn't seem like they're really friends. You know what I mean?
And it goes back years because at one point I think Cam sued Jim Jones for
Never heard of
using
that.
the Diplomat logo because I guess Cam actually owns it, and then other people were using it for their projects.
Did he sue him or did he send him
I
a
believe
cease and
it was
desist?
it was a lawsuit. I remember even back when me and Jim were cool back in the day, like I did a few interviews with him. I think, yeah, you know, Cam was playing the suing game, or you got to go through this, and blah, blah, blah. You know, I mean, it's been fractured for 15 years, I think.
Yeah.
It's not like this is new. This might be new to some people, but
Right.
they haven't been cool with each other forever.
What bothers me with the situation is that when Cameron says that, you know, Jim was a fan, we used him basically for his house because I couldn't take girls. My grandmother was strict. Jim Jones had the free crib. But then how can someone you describe like that become an integral part of your movement?
I mean, of course, it's a dig at Jim, but horse and carriage. But when it comes to Jimmy, my name's Me Too. Like, we not going to do that right now, Killer. Like, we not going to say that now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You guys been repping Harlem forever. Now all of a sudden he's not from Harlem. It's a bit contradictory when you know you hear stuff like that, and it's like, well, why didn't you say this before? Why wasn't it Harlem, Bronx? We here. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, like even
we didn't hear that.
Even him saying that BMF or whoever chased them to the beach or whatever the case is, like we didn't need to know that, man. Like,
I actually heard that story from Blue Da Vinci like 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
What was it over?
From what Blue told me back in the day was they were at some club in Miami and Jim was wilding out spraying champagne bottles.
No, he said they were. And
Oh,
Jimmy
they were?
and them was walking
Okay,
through,
okay,
and
sorry,
then
you're
they
right,
got
yeah.
wet.
20-year-old story, I probably, you know,
Right.
yeah, I guess, yeah. They got sprayed and then that caused
All right.
a riot situation, but they didn't know who BMF was at the
Right.
time. They didn't realize
These were
how deep they were. And he was also saying how in Miami they had homes and they had choppers and all types of shit. So it was potentially turning into a deadly situation,
right.
you know? So that's what I heard 20 years ago.
when was the first time they publicly went live with their beef?
Pause.
Yeah, Paul, that's a major
Crazy.
one, bro. That's a
That was
major one.
wild.
That's a major
That was
one.
out
That's
of
a
line.
major.
You
That's
really
a
gotta
major.
pause your way out of that.
Came-
We all know what
Came
you're
with
doing.
Live with
media.
their
People are
beef.
using this.
No Diddy.
That's crazy, bro.
No, but when we-
Pass me the water, no Diddy, huh?
You went live with your beef? That's crazy, bro.
But when did they go public with their feud, and around what time that was?
I think the first
That's a
time that
long
we
time
saw
ago.
a glimpse of it was the 50 thing.
No, I think
No, it was before that.
Before that.
It was before
Yeah.
that. Now, what I'm trying to
the
figure.
fact that sorry to interrupt
Yeah.
you, but the fact that 50 could get Jim and Jewels on stage with him shows how fractured they already were.
Yeah.
Right.
If they were tight knit, that would have never happened.
Yeah.
Right.
No, the lawsuits were happening. This was before Vlad TV, so that had to be maybe around 2006,
2006.
maybe 2007.
Wow.
How did that go, though?
I don't know. You know how these lawsuits they stretch out for years.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
And that was for using the Dipset logo.
right. Because remember, there was other Dipset members as well. There was
Rail 40 cal.
40 cal, yeah, like
Now,
all,
what year you
Rider.
said?
maybe 2006, 2007.
Now, this goes back to what I was thinking. Jim Jones balling.
Yeah.
2007.
Yeah.
Now he got this next hot record. They feuding again. It seems as if every time Jim Jones gets some momentum,
Nah,
Some
I
beef
wouldn't
happens.
say I wouldn't say so because I remember seeing the balling video and being like, "Oh, Cam's there."
Okay, it was the
So
video.
there was something that happened before that had me like, "Oh shit, okay, Cam's in the video." Something happened before that, but again, you know, when this type of shit gets publicized, you start hearing this back and forth, like all this drama, and I don't know how to take it seriously. You know what I mean? Because we've seen them, you know, split up and mend and split up and mend and split up and.
But when
Like-
do we really see them mend like that?
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of mending over the
Like-
years.
like
to be
they-
honest.
Why would you
just-
do a versus?
No, that's business. That was all business.
Versus, I mean, business or not, there's certain Beatles members that wouldn't be caught, well, that would not do reunions or would not do certain things just because You know, even MC Search sat here and said, you know, they offered a whole bunch of money for him and Pete Nice to do a show together, and he turned it down. So,
But he just did one like recently with him.
really,
They reunited.
Oh shit!
So
Well, that's that. That's that. I
Pass
guess.
the mic or something
I guess
like
there
that.
is a price.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
MC Search is a liar on top of it.
Oh, wow.
Unreliable.
Wow.
I interviewed him, and then he created this whole false narrative after the fact. You know, that I somehow tricked him, and I didn't do what I told him I would do, and shit like that. And yeah, I don't like MC Search.
Uh-oh.
Kane told me the same thing.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
Why y'all looking at me? That's it's y'all experience, okay?
I didn't have that experience with
I'm
him
just
either, so I don't
come
know.
on, man.
No, I was cool with Search up until that point. We did an interview, and it went great. And then, like, what happened was he was pushing some sort of hip hop book or something like that. And I told him, if we do the interview, he said, "Oh, can you promote the book in the links, you know, in the description?" And I said, "Sure." It was like a GoFundMe or whatever else. Now the GoFundMe didn't take off, and he somehow blamed me for it not taking off. But I did what I was supposed to do.
Right.
So he suddenly was like, "Yeah, Vlad tricked me. He didn't do the link. Don't listen to Vlad interviews. Listen to Drink Champs instead." All right. I'm like, "No, that's lame. Like I did what I was supposed to do. It's not my fault. You know, people weren't feeling the project. It's not my fault. You know." But
Well, I love a white man beef. Let's keep going with this one.
That was crazy. That was wow.
That was
Oh my
an interracial pause. right there.
Damn, Kim.
how can be a pause if she's a woman?
No.
She's a fella in the
No,
barbershop.
she fell in the barbershop, Vlad. She one of the homies in the shop.
That was a heterosexual.
No,
she was a fella in the barbershop.
I'm just saying.
I'm saying.
Damn,
She
Kim.
said, "I love the white." Say that again, Kim.
No, I'm not doing that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Y'all know what I meant.
No, we didn't.
It was
Now
a
you was
pause.
just getting on me a couple of minutes ago.
It was a pause, but
That was crazy.
I was saying, you know, it was a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke. White man, you know, they're always saying they're trying to put, you know, separate the black
Kim,
man.
don't try to explain yourself.
White man.
It's
Let me
okay.
tell you something. For some reason, like my friend calls it white on white crime.
White on white crime.
Like,
there you go.
White kids in hip hop generally don't get along for some strange reason. It's never from my side. You see what I'm saying? Like
Right.
I've always like, I don't care what you are. Like if you're a white kid, Jewish kid, whatever, like, all right, cool. It makes sense, it makes sense. But I feel like with certain people, I'm not gonna name any names, like if you're a white kid who pops off, they want to feel like they're the only cool white kid.
Yeah.
So anyone else is like seen as
Who you-
fake and
who you
whatever
talking
else.
about? Who you talking about, man? I want him on my show too.
I think Rory's probably like that.
You said Rory?
Rory's probably like that. I
Rory
guess.
doesn't like white rappers?
Doesn't like me.
Rory?
Oh,
Rory.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
Rory
really?
Mal.
Yeah, I know Rory.
Rory's white? Oh,
Yeah.
shit. I didn't
He
know.
got red
What you
hair.
thought it was light skin?
Yeah, I just thought he
Yeah.
dyed his hair. or some
Who
shit like-
else? Who's that A&R dude that worked like Brand Nubian and stuff back in the day?
This really is white on white crime.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah, it's
This
just
is
not
this
publicized.
crazy. Yeah, they don't
It's just not
hype it up
publicized.
like that.
I've been getting this my whole hip hop career.
Wow.
Yeah, it's always weird to me because I've never been like this. Like, you know, me and Adam 22 are hella cool. Like, you know, I reached out to him and embraced him early.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, I've always been the opposite. But yeah, I've always gotten it. Yeah, fuck Vlad. He not real hip hop. You know, I'm the real hip hop white
Does
boy.
Bootleg Kev do that to you?
No, not at all.
Oh.
Not at all. I'm not saying it goes for everybody. No, me
Right.
and Bootleg Kev are cool.
But I have noticed that there were a lot of issues with white rappers.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to go up to Rory's show. Do you want to come with me, Vlad?
Pop up?
Pop up. You know how we do. Come on, man. Just pop this walk in the room.
I'm
What's
playing.
up, man? Just
Sit down, grab the mic.
I mean, no. Just bring a gift in. You know what I'm saying? What's
can
up,
bring Rory
nigga?
a gift.
Vlad
I'm playing.
Is it somebody's
pull
birthday?
pop-ups.
Oh my
What's up?
gosh.
We pulling pop-ups.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, man. I've always thought it was lame. And I thought it was stupid. And, you know, it happens. Every group has internal beef that seems silly from the outside. You know, comedians beef, you know, podcasters beef. And from the outside, you're like, why are y'all beefing? But yeah, there's always this weird competition thing that I found with white kids that I always thought was idiotic.
Well, I guess in this space, The drama always brings the most attention. Nowadays, it's like
It's always been like that.
it's always been like that, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Rest in peace, Keyz. What was his nickname?
Drama King.
Drama
King,
King.
yeah.
But not just that. Like I was watching I don't want to call it a doc, but it was like all the rappers that 50 Cent has beefed with. And there was a lot of people that I didn't even realize that was going on. But it seemed like there was always a shot, always some competitive vibe there.
That's how 50 Cent labels it. He don't say beef. He say, it's competitive. Yeah.
It's like most of them when they come in the game, most of they big records beat them diss records. Like he had what was that? How to Rob?
Yeah.
Mano had what? Rumors?
Yeah.
These is those type of records that start controversy to get the notice, to get the notoriety on them.
Yeah.
Most of these rappers do that.
Well, especially if people reply. Because How to Rob got Jay-Z to reply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm about $1.
What the fuck is 50 Cent?
Right.
I heard 50 was doing backflips when he heard that. I was like,
Yeah.
okay. Now I'm in the
finally.
game.
They
Like,
got it. They
all
got
right.
that shot.
And that's the same thing with podcasting. Like if somebody send a shot, they waiting, they watching. Ooh, I know you saw that. And they waiting for the reply.
I mean, listen, me and Joe Budden went at it for 15 years until we finally ran into each other. A
How
couple
was
weeks
that?
ago. It was actually cool.
Was he wearing clothes? Or Sorry.
What's
I'm
funny about that?
kidding.
Vlad, what's funny?
Was he sleepwalking?
Stop.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Stop. 'Cause I swear to God, I said the same shit
Joe,
yesterday.
I'm good. I
I
love
said
him.
the same shit yesterday.
Shout to Joe though. Shout to Joe.
Yeah.
So you guys ran into each other.
Yeah, we were at Bergdorf Goodman. We were
Uh-huh.
both just shopping,
Mhm.
the designer section up there. And
That's where math shops and the
Yeah.
design. Yeah, well, before we went live, you guys were talking about how you were at Bergdorf.
Yeah.
They were both talking about Bergdorf, and they were talking about how much they each spend on Prada. And so this was a very informative 5 minutes
No, we weren't.
of
We weren't.
my life
What are you
when I
talking-
heard about what Prada jackets cost.
yeah.
You can. Vlad has a few. Math has a few. All right,
Kim has the shades on right now.
Are these
Is that a Louis
You know
purse
what I
back there?
mean? Kim has the shades on.
I seen a Louis
right
purse.
now.
Let's have some
That's
man
That's
purse.
a Louis purse over there. Let's get a look at it. Take a look at it. Let's get a look at it. Oh, she got the custom band joint. She got oh.
Yeah.
Give me that.
And she got the Gucci wallet. She got the Gucci wallet on. Listen, come on, man. What are you doing?
Okay.
A lot of these rappers be walking around with that type of bag nowadays.
So we were just in Bergdorf, both of us were just randomly shopping that day.
Right.
And I look over and he's looking at me. It's Joe.
He's just staring at you.
She's staring at me.
Right.
And I'm like, oh shit, it's Joe. But it wasn't like an ice grill.
It wasn't the
It
death
was
stare.
just like it was.
He was dreaming.
Stop.
He wasn't sleepwalking. And I'm like, wow, I haven't seen him. Like, like we haven't had a conversation since our last interview, which was like 15 years ago.
Right.
He was like, a little heavier, and so it kind of took me a second to realize who it was. But when I saw him, it wasn't like an aggressive stare because Joe had gone on the show saying, "When I see Vlad, it's on site," and so forth. So I was taking those words seriously. When he was at Complex, I was prepared for these situations to happen. Right.
So how'd it go? He approached you or you approached him?
No, but so he saw me, but the look he gave me wasn't an aggressive look.
Right.
So there's a whole second conversation happening.
I wasn't ready for this.
Glad you pressed him. You pressed Joe.
I did not press him. So I walked up to him and I'm like, "Yo, what up?" He's like, "What's up, man?" And I put my hand out. He shook my hand.
Right.
And the first thing I said was, "Yo, congratulations on your success, man. Congratulations. You've done your thing in the podcast." I was like, "Well, thank you." I said, and thank you. You've said a few kind words about me. I think like when the media list came out, he had talked about it. He said, "Oh yeah, Vlad, he deserves his position.
Right.
He puts in the work." So I'm like, thank you for that. And I'm like, "How's your family doing?" Cool. He asked me how my family's doing. I said, "Cool." And I'm like, "Yo, this is a moment."
So let me ask you
It's
a
a
question.
moment. So did nobody tape this? You didn't tape?
No, there was no taping. There's no photos. There's none of that. It was like, all right.
No interview set up in there?
No interviews, no future business, no whatever. But it was our first friendly interaction since 15 years ago.
I've been pushing for this for how many episodes?
Well,
Like-
here's the thing, because at one point, Academics said that Joe wanted to do a podcast with me and him on Academics' platform. Right?
Oh,
He was
sounds
open
like
to doing that.
Powerhouse.
But like I said, I can't do that without me and him having a conversation first. I'm not just gonna come in raw and like,
That was damn, Vlad. Damn, Vlad. That's crazy, Vlad. Oh man, Vlad.
Now, Vlad, you gotta understand this. This wasn't
That was
this was not a
nasty
pass me the water pause. This is not
That's it. I'm
Right.
just not
This is
gonna
no
come
Diddy.
in raw.
I know Diddy my way out of that one. Right? I know Diddy my way. But nah, it was you know, I thought a mature moment with two successful people in the same field that really didn't have any animosity towards each other at the time. We both could have been on some bullshit, but neither one of us were. So I'm like, you know, let me just tweet about this. I put out a tweet. I said, oh, by the way, I just ran into Joe. You know, it was a grown man moment. You know, happy holidays to him, and you know, and so forth. People like, yo, in the comments, like, yeah, let's see what Joe says about this. Let's hear his side of the story.
Right.
So on his show, I saw he had like a segment about me, and he said the exact same story.
Mm-hmm.
There was really no difference in what I described and what he described. It was, you know, he was like, yeah, you know, I'm not looking to do interviews or whatever. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I mean, neither am I. You know, but it was, I thought it was cool that two of, and look, like we both have taken a lot of shots at each other over the years. He's talked a bunch of shit about me. I've talked a bunch of shit about him. I've interviewed his like exes and stuff like that.
Right.
You know, just to be petty. And you know, I was wrong for that.
Wait,
you know, in
wait.
retrospect.
You were wrong for interviewing his exes.
Exes.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I was doing it to just get at him.
Why? Okay, so you weren't doing it to give them a legitimate voice to tell their story.
Well, I mean, I didn't
platform
like
to tell their
yeah.
story.
I mean, I interviewed Tahiri a couple of times. I interviewed I forgot what the
Sin?
blonde girl. No,
No.
not Sin. Caitlin or something.
Kaylin.
Yeah, I interviewed her, but it was really just kind of like a "fuck you too" kind of interview.
So
You
you
know what I'm
wouldn't
saying?
have given them an interview without just having that.
Maybe
sort of,
maybe Tahiri, because Tahiri was kind
Yeah,
of prominent
like-
at the time, but not so much. You know,
Okay.
like the other girl. The other girl was just me.
So
being petty.
admittedly, you did it to get back.
Of course, but he was doing shit. He was talking a bunch of shit about me. He was telling me to suck his dick, you know, and all types of
There's
shit.
a lot. There's so much things happening here.
He said it.
Right.
He said it.
So,
You know what I mean?
so you was ready to fight him. You was ready to
Listen,
go to
I'm
the
not
next.
looking to fight anybody.
No, I'm just saying
Right.
you was interviewing his. So obviously it's like, yo, I'm willing to
No,
go
look,
to
like,
the next
I,
level.
I felt that during times when I saw Joe, he'd be on site, you know, to the point where I
Hey, Berg
would...
Wolf Goodman.
Well, not a bird. There was another situation because people like, oh, well, you said you saw Joe a couple years ago. I was with my man, O Pressure, who, you know, he went to prison for killing somebody with his bare hands.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When he was like 18.
Damn.
You know, he was basically like, this was my man who I held down. So if I told him, go get him, he would go get him. So we were outside of a strip club and Joe walks past us. And I'm looking at, and he's looking at me. He's like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, nah, nothing.
No, yeah.
Nothing.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, it's not worth it. So I saw Joe, but Joe didn't see me.
Right.
But at that time, he had just said a bunch of shit about me. So it was, you know, if I would have been like, Joe, what's up? You know, and he'd turn around and who knows what would have happened. But it would have been bad because we were outside a strip club with cameras everywhere. So it would have turned into a legal situation of some sort.
Right.
You know, so, but the fact that at this point, Joe is older, he's, you know, his money seems to have, you know,
Both of you guys
stabilized.
are-
He's doing well financially. He's got a you know, a show.
Yeah,
He's
you
doing
guys
well.
are throwing away for
He's
that.
got kids. Like, yeah, I think it was a cool moment. And what I said it was exactly what he said.
Yeah.
It was the same story both ways. No one got punked. No one got intimidated. No one. It was friendly,
Right.
point blank. And I'm glad it happened.
This how I felt about popping up on Heineken and Esso.
That went a little different than me and Joe, though.
I mean, yeah, but you know, I didn't feel like it was that type of situation.
Right.
You know, people are ranting and raving, saying, "Oh, you're putting people's life.
Yeah, no, it wasn't
putting
that.
people's life.
It wasn't that
It wasn't
type of
that.
situation.
It wasn't
I don't
that.
even know why they could think that, because Angela is your friend. Why would she sacrifice her platform?
Right. And
Right, for
I wouldn't
something like-
sacrifice her
It's
platform.
just
Like,
the
I would never
how
do
people
that.
view it. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like you do gotta kind of look at it like it was blindsided. You feel me? Because the niggas is being interviewed and they don't even know math is popping out.
Yeah.
You feel me? It does look that way. It could be What if Esho would have said something out of line and got up and got crazy? Math would have had to defend itself.
I think that no,
No, for real though.
no, but I say
He's
that,
laughing.
but
I hear you, but I don't.
You
think
got
it was
females
ever
in the
going
room
to
that
be
can't break that
it goes,
shit.
it goes
But
back to
no.
respect, bro.
But I will say this: nobody was going to disrespect
That's what I'm saying.
Angela's
All I'm
like
saying
that.
is what
You don't know that though. You don't know
I did
that.
know that.
You don't know that.
Come
I
on,
did
man.
know that.
Okay, so
I knew
okay,
that. I
so
knew that.
the fights that you got into, like what was it? Like on Smack.
There was a
right?
lot of occasions where I know
You
if I didn't do anything, nothing was to happen.
you never know that.
See, that's what I said. Like,
What if he like threw something at you?
Women can get in
Again.
a room and have heated
But
debates
why
and
wouldn't he?
conversations about business, and it's okay for people to say, "Hey, we put them together. They had this conversation." But as soon as it's like, "Oh, yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's how Eve made Adam bite the apple." Like, stop it, stop it. This is not Adam and Eve. This was guess what? It's not a real story. You know what I'm saying?
Did Angela know that he was showing up? She seemed
no.
surprised.
She was very surprised.
Yeah.
Um,
If you walked in to an interview of someone I was interviewing, I would get up and walk you out.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
But wait, but
That's
I
how-
don't want to make this
that was-
about
but
Angela.
I
Just to
wouldn't
be
let
clear,
that conversation happen.
just to be clear,
if I didn't know it was coming.
Just to be clear, that was also an option. I didn't think that she was gonna say, "Yo, sit down. We got an extra mic."
That's what I'm saying. And the whole thing was she has seen them be public before, right? People don't know that. Like they've been in the same space before and everything's been fine. She's seen that.
Yeah, hugs and
She
kisses.
had a show one day and they co-hosted and they called me from the show. Everything was all love. So these guys, it was a conversation that needed to happen between them. There was never a point where anybody thought it was gonna escalate to blows. That wasn't the case. That wasn't.
I showed up by myself, man.
In all your fights, you by
So
yourself.
people, so wait, let me say this.
See, like here's the thing. Like, I'm not good. I'm not good at letting people scream at me. That I don't do that. Like you can't scream at me and
People
continue.
scream on
At one
TV
point,
all the
he
time.
did scream, and Math was like, "Chill."
But he kept screaming.
I think
Yeah,
they
he
was having
screamed
a
at you,
passionate
too.
conversation.
No,
It
He was passionate.
conversation.
It was passionate, but it was also some screaming.
What?
I feel like, and I've had situations with people, like, when Matt was on my show yesterday, like me and Polo G, he was mad at me over some comments I made on Academic Show. He's like, "Yo, I want to FaceTime you." I'm like, cool. He FaceTimed me. The first thing he started doing was screaming at me. And I'm like, you're gonna calm down or I'm gonna hang up on you. He just kept screaming, so I just hung up on him.
But I think that,
That was
that
the
they
end
were
of
all
the-
grown enough
but-
to be able to remove themselves from the situation out of respect for what we do. And nobody was going to risk their platforms. Like, there's too much. Everyone in that
Look,
room had too much to lose
I'm
by
old-
doing
I'm old
something
school.
ignorant.
I'm old school. You know what they said about the loudest in the room.
Yeah. I get
And
it.
I still believe that to be true. And that's not a shot, but someone getting loud is not a threat to me.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying? It's just not. It's just okay.
I didn't see
But
him talk.
I don't mean as a
Yeah.
threat. I just mean like with me, I feel like at this point in my life, you have to maintain a certain level of respect around me for me to continue to be in your presence.
To interact. Yeah, I
To
get that.
continue to interact.
I get
You're
that.
not going to scream at me.
That's
You're
acceptable.
going to calm down. We're going to have a regular conversation, or else I'm leaving the conversation.
Right.
That's across the board. You've never seen a video of someone screaming at me or whatever else. Like, you've seen people get crazy in interviews, but they're not screaming at me.
Listen,
That's just my thing. And everyone has their own level of tolerance.
1,000 squashed potatoes.
It's crazy.
What is that?
1,000 squashed potatoes. For people that watch the show, you know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
None of y'all remember this? 1,000 squashed
I
potatoes?
don't know what that is.
You're
No.
solo on this one, man.
Yeah.
This is all
Yeah.
you.
You flying this plane by yourself.
Okay.
Solo mission.
Okay.
But, I applaud you for sitting there and, not reacting to him screaming at you. I
Yeah.
actually was happy to see it.
Right.
Would you want to have another live conversation with him? I mean, a recorded, whatever.
I've
conversation?
been asked this question. Like I said, if everyone's open to it, I don't have a problem with it. Like it's not a problem for me.
Got it.
It's like it's never been a problem for me to have that conversation because I know where I stand in it. Now, you know, other people, you know, we could debate on who was right, who was wrong, whatever it is, but I think it's important that people see the conversation because we don't get to see the conversation. Like we'll never see Joe walk in or Rory and Mal like, yeah, I'm here to talk. We'll never see that. You know what I mean? Oh, you know, you never know.
You might.
Right? But, you know, I think that it's important for people to see like, it's not what you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not what you think it is.
Yeah. Like, for example, me and Whack 100. 10 years ago, I was at a Ray J video shoot for the song I Hit It First, which was like about Kim Kardashian. And the director of the video invited me, and I met Whack for the first time. He was managing Ray J and Game. And, you know, he was like fresh out, you know what I mean? Like not really accustomed to the industry and so forth.
Right.
And I asked Ray J, I said, hey, can I shoot a couple photos and post them? He's like, yeah, go ahead. I posted the photos, and I guess like this whole thing was like a secret. They didn't want it out. So like the investors freaked out. So Whack called me with Ray J on three-way and started screaming at me, started threatening me and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I'm done. So for 10 years, we didn't talk.
You and Whack?
Me and Whack. For 10 years.
Right.
And, you know, I knew, you know, it wasn't like active friction. It wasn't, you know, he had said a few things about me over the years, but I was like, whatever. Like, if we run into each other, I'll probably have security with me, so it's whatever, right?
Right.
So for 10 years, we just didn't talk. And then I was in the process of booking Game for an interview, and it ended up not working out. And I'm like, okay, I'm probably going to have to just go through Whack to make this interview happen. So I called him up. And, you know, the first thing was like, look, I'm trying to make this interview happen. We could rehash what happened 10 years ago, but ultimately, no one lost money. Everyone's made millions since then. And for me, it's whatever. He goes, I agree. Let's do this business. And now Whack is a regular on my show.
Right.
You know, but he's also grown since then. You know, we talked about this. Like the Whack from 2015 is not the Whack of 2025.
Right.
He's had a lot of exposure to a lot of different people. He has, you know, he's met Elon Musk, and, you know, he's done work with Kanye, and he's had successful artists, and he's made millions of dollars.
Right. And
he knows that he could turn up and do the Whack 100 thing, but he's also not just sitting there flashing on people, because he's realized over time that, you know, and I told him, like in our interview, we both agreed. We both said, by us not fucking with each other for 10 years, we have each lost about $1 million. He said, yeah, that's probably about right.
Wow. Wow.
So just kind of goes to show you how.
Well, I gotta say, shout out to Whack. I was recently on Clubhouse with him. And
he's the king of Clubhouse.
Yeah, he was encouraging me and someone else to kind of like squash our issues. So yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Wow. Yeah. Whack messing with my people at Sugar Hill out here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You guys handles a lot of stuff, man. Like you'd be surprised the amount of people that he knows. And look, ever since then, super respectful, always on time, good business, never any bullshit. He's, you know, me and Nick were talking for like 5 years. He connected us together. Me and Nick were on the phone for 2 hours a few nights ago. That was all Whack, you know? And me and Nick had to sit there and rehash all the stuff that kind of rubbed each other the wrong way, because we were really friends back then. Our families knew each other. And, you know, that was Whack. So you could have a situation where things are bad and people grow, people mature, and people could, you know, they could both realize, you know, everyone made mistakes along the way. You can get over those mistakes.
I agree with that.
I agree too.
I agree with that. Chat, how you feel about it?
I think we
wanna
need
know
to
what
see
the chat
more of that.
thinks about it.
I'm seeing a lot of division going on in the game right now. Every time I turn on the internet, it's division. We need to see more unity.
Well, besides Cam and Jim, what else is there?
You?
I was he was saying, I thought you called it, like,
It's just a lot. It's just niggas going at each other all the time on the internet. You don't really see no unity like that.
Because everybody thinks that that's the way. And I had this, that was always my issue with Tats. I could never understand why the drama, why the beefing, why the insulting. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, we're coming out of an era where shit like that can get dangerous. There's still a couple people out there that you can't really play with like that, or their entourages might take something you say the wrong way and they see you out in public and it's going down. But I didn't understand. I never understood that shit. You know what I mean?
If he was to reach out to you like on some, yo, man to man shit, like, yo, I was wrong or whatever, would you have a conversation with him?
Why not?
You ever had a conversation with him?
He didn't know him.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know him.
He didn't know him.
I mean, Taxo was my friend. Like,
Yeah.
I've always said it. He was a regular on my show.
Right.
In fact, the last interview he did was on Vlad TV.
Right.
A couple of days before he finally got locked up.
Right.
Because he was out for a year after the shooting. I mean, Tax is just Tax. Like I felt he was authentic to really who he was, and he didn't adjust to the industry fast enough.
And that's the thing.
I think that was the problem.
And I had that issue.
He had to
early
realize that a lot of this stuff is just smoke and mirrors
Yes.
and
With the whole
whatever.
battle
And it's
rap
not really
shit.
that serious.
You don't
He
think
took
he
it
was
completely
trolling?
serious.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I understand that. I understand that because I went through those growing pains with battle rap.
Right.
And I see videos of people around, certain people that I knew was in the street, and I thought it was what it was, and you find out it's not. And you
It's
just
not,
look
yeah.
like an asshole
Yeah, it's not
to
that serious,
everybody. You know what I'm
smoke
saying?
I was cool with Tax for a minute. I think Tax Stone was extremely intelligent. It confused me when he did certain things because I've heard him speak. I've spoken with him. He's smarter. He's intelligent. He's like a philosopher, bro. To be honest with you, man,
Right.
he's smart.
Right.
You don't think he was trolling just to get niggas' attention?
I mean, I'm quite sure it was
But
some of that.
Again, you still playing it's different if you playing that game in a space with people that you know it's not gonna. But nah, you putting people on Front Street, you forcing their hand. You're kind of putting them in a position where they have to do something.
I gotta understand the part where he like, yo, nigga, you pussy, nigga. I gotta understand that. Like,
Yeah.
that's not trolling. That's like, you know what I mean? Like, you want the smoke.
Tax Stone was really smart. He's a smart guy. I don't. For him to even get caught up in that situation was crazy to me.
But look at Tax's background. Like, he was consistent to who he was. He had a background of shooting people and, you know, getting into serious situations and beating people up and,
Right.
you know, going
Right.
to prison and so forth. He just couldn't adjust to, okay, once you're in this field and you're a public figure and you're dealing with other public figures, 99% of the time it's not that serious.
Right.
It doesn't have to escalate into real violence.
I don't think
But-
he knew how big he was.
Yeah.
I don't think he knew.
Yeah.
No,
he
no, it's
yeah.
not that. I feel like nobody was really putting him on the game. Everyone,
that's not true, because
I'm not gonna say not you. I'm talking
Charlemagne was fucking with him. Like, that's how I
Charlemagne.
met him.
Charlemagne. But I'm
was,
talking about
you know,
the rappers and people that he was around. Nobody was putting them on like, yo.
You don't know that. Niggas was probably telling him, yo, you bugging. You don't know that. Niggas don't know that.
I feel like a lot of people was entertained until shit went left.
It was entertaining. Some of it was entertaining.
There's probably a lot of phone calls with laughing and giggling and this, that, and the
Well,
third
I mean-
until shit went left.
well, look, like, for example, he was always dissing Meek Mill. But then Meek Mill ended up doing an interview with him.
Mhm.
On his own turf. Like, remember, it was like in like the Rolls Royce,
yeah,
the
right.
Phantom.
Right.
So I think with Tax, he was beginning to realize that, like, yo, I could have this negative opinion and really have this rough persona, and people will respect it and even say, okay, I'm gonna join you rather than keep fighting with you.
Right.
And it was working for him. He was escalating. He was on TV with Charlemagne. You know, he was always on Vlad TV. His own podcast was really blowing up. If Tax didn't go to prison, he would be like Gillian
He'd be
Wallow.
right where everybody
Right.
else is.
Yeah, he might even be bigger than all of us.
Right.
Fact.
Because
False.
I never got a Meek interview.
Right.
You
That
see what I'm
was
saying?
crazy.
That was crazy.
That was crazy.
Yeah, so it's one of those things, man. And I hate to see the way it turned out. Look, me and you had a whole heated argument about this. I understand where your loyalties lie and so forth, and I respect that.
Right.
I just think it was a very sad situation that didn't need to happen. I don't think he should have brought a gun to that club. If he had even brought a knife, I don't think he'd be where he is right now.
I think if he would have just threw the hands and then, you know what I'm saying, and everybody went their way, He'd
That's
still
right.
be out here. He'd probably be laughing about it.
Right.
Go about your business.
And we've all taken losses.
and
we've all been outnumbered. You know, we've
Hell
all been
yeah, like,
jumped.
it is what it is.
Yeah,
If he would have took those little lumps and he would have got his shit in, pause, and you know niggas would still be out here. But
pride comes
unfortunate.
before fall.
But if you look at that situation, everyone lost.
Yes.
Everyone.
Rest in peace,
Troy
Banger.
Ave was a hot rapper. These days, not
Yeah.
really. Banger lost his life.
Yeah, rest in peace,
Rest in peace,
Banger.
Banger.
Rest in peace, Banger. I never met him, but you know.
That was my guy. Like that was
dude.
my guy. for many
My
years.
condolences. My condolences.
Yeah.
And Tax basically lost his freedom.
Right.
Nobody won.
Would you interview Troy?
No.
Why?
Because I had my own situations with Troy. Me and Tax both didn't like Troy. That was the way we even kind of bonded a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because with Troy, I had met him really early on. This was mixtape DJ Vlad. This was maybe 2003, 2004. We were in the studio, I think, with Chameleonaire.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like a rapper that was handing out CDs and everything else like that. And he would always hit me up for postings and interviews. And at the time, we were like charging for that. So I'm like, oh, you know, if you want to post, it'll be this much. He's like, man, fuck that shit. You better post my shit or you're going to have street problems and blah, blah, blah.
Damn.
And I'm
Ash.
like, all right,
crazy.
whatever. Whatever.
I don't know how serious that was.
Yeah, I have people around me.
I think you.
Well, hold on. Let me just
Yeah.
finish my story, right? And then, you know, at one point he started to buzz, right? So I'm like, all right, well, at this point, it makes sense to do an interview. And he was kind of like, oh, yeah, you didn't want to fuck with me then. Now you want to fuck with me now. And his manager, the fat dude that died.
Hold on. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
He talked a bunch of shit on me. Oh, yeah, Vlad's a sucker. He always has been. And blah, blah, you know. So there was just a lot of negative energy coming out of that camp.
Right.
And for me, it was just like, I've seen this time and time again. You know, people have to take a step back and realize where they are in terms of their career. So if you approach someone and they don't fuck with you, you can't take it personally.
Right.
You
I
have
agree
to
with that.
realize, okay, this person has a media outlet that's here. My career is here. Now, at the time that we meet or I surpass it, then it makes more sense for that media outlet because it's ultimately a business. It's ultimately a business.
Yeah.
But people take it personally. Oh, yeah, he didn't want to give me an interview when I was rapping after 6 months, so fuck that motherfucker. All these and I felt like Troy had this sort of, yeah, everyone who didn't put me on, now that I have a little bit of buzz, fuck all that.
Yeah, it's like, but it's. I mean, you could say the same thing about Kanye, right?
Sure, fair enough, but I don't know Kanye either. So,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? So it was that attitude, and it was some of the shit that he said that I kind of didn't like Troy already. Plus, when Troy started to get on, the shit with me, I thought was very minor compared to what he was doing to other people. Because remember, I Love McConan, the gay rapper, who had that song going up on a Tuesday?
remember.
Yeah.
Troy Ave did a freestyle, and he goes, yeah, I don't like when dudes freestyle on my shit. You know what I'm saying? So what happened? And Troy's like, yeah, when you come to New York, we'll see you. He sent Banger to go beat that dude up on stage.
Yeah, I remember that. That was wrong.
You think he sent them, or that was something he just did on his own?
No,
Banger didn't know that guy.
the type of nigga.
Wait, hold on, because I'm
Okay,
gonna
go
say
ahead.
it again. Sometimes, you know, the people around you react to things, you know.
Okay, answer the question.
Me knowing Banger and me knowing the loyalty he had for Banger. Me and Banger used to live together. Banger lived upstairs, I lived downstairs.
Got it.
You understand? And me knowing what type of individual Banger was, he the type of nigga to see shit on his own and go crash out. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, fair enough.
So, you know, we're coming from the hood, man. We all kind of fucked up.
I got
You
it,
know
man.
what
But like
I'm
I said,
saying?
I just
Real
didn't.
shit.
I didn't like his character.
You would interview one of Troy Ave girlfriends,
yeah.
though, right?
No, I would not.
But
I
you,
would
but
not.
look, you,
I would not. But that was so the whole thing. So I kind of had an overall sort of just disdain for Troy already. So when Taxstone had that same dislike, it was like, all right, you know, like at the time, me and Tax both didn't like the same people, and those same people didn't like us.
What about me, motherfucker? God
Well, you weren't
damn it!
you weren't even in the podcast game at that time.
No, I wasn't.
You were a battle rapper.
I wasn't.
Yeah. So you weren't really part of those conversations.
He was
is what I'm
talking
saying.
shit. I was like,
But I didn't know. I didn't notice when you were talking shit about.
Well, you ain't letting. No. You
It's
spoke
not like you
up.
did that on
spoke
my
up during
platform.
it. No, he did.
Oh, he did?
But you spoke up. You was like, nah, I don't think.
Oh, okay,
I don't
good.
think math is like
Okay,
that.
good.
I think.
All right. There you go.
I think he's a little different.
Yeah, I would have felt bad if I didn't say that. But thank
Right.
you. But thank you. But that was the whole thing. So when you asked me about that whole Troy Ave thing, I'm like, nah, I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm sure it'll get a lot of views and everything else like that.
I still feel like the industry picks and chooses. You know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
pick and choose.
If Math having a falling out with somebody don't like Math, niggas should be on the side. Don't fuck with that nigga. That's just how the industry. It's how the shit works.
Yeah. You have to pick sides sometimes, unfortunately. You try not to, but you're oftentimes forced into those situations.
Someone asked me to pick a side with that situation. And I told them straight up, I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. Like, don't ask me to pick a side, because I'm not, like.
Because that shit lead to street shit at the end of the day. Niggas don't understand that. Like, you know what I mean? You just got to be mindful of what side you pick. You know, because you could run into a nigga that's tight with a nigga that you never seen in your life.
Know him, yeah.
And boom, you.
No, I
You
get it.
understand? So you just got to be real careful
I completely
with
understand.
what side you pick and all of that. You just got to keep it neutral sometimes.
Yeah, no, you try to keep it neutral, but sometimes when you have, you know, like for example, this dude approached me today, and he was like, "Hey, we want to do, you know, we know Terrence Gangster Williams, who's a regular on my show. He's like, he's talked about us, you know, this particular guy that we want you to interview. We want to bring him to your platform to interview him." So I said, okay, well, the first thing I'm going to do is hit up Terrence. So I said, hey, do you know so-and-so? He goes, yeah, he killed my homeboy, Sterling, one of the Hot Boys. Right?
Mm.
I said, okay. Would you have an issue with me interviewing him? He said, yeah, I would. I said, okay. Then that's that. I'm having to pick a side.
Right.
This is someone who's a regular on my show,
Yeah.
who I gave him his first interview. He went around and turned it into a whole YouTube platform for himself that he
Right.
supported himself with. He's always been cool with me, always been professional. Shown up on time, you know what I'm saying? Answered every question. We would hang out afterwards, have lunch, always be friendly with each other, everything else like that. I'm not going to scrap my relationship with this guy over this new person, regardless of how much money he could make.
And that's kind of, yeah, that is the side of it that doesn't get talked about. Like when people say, why won't you have certain people on this show?
Yo,
I don't
killed
want
my
to
man's
tell
friend,
you.
and,
You know what I'm saying?
It's that serious.
I don't really want to say it,
Yeah.
but hello.
Right, but here's on the flip side, right? Here's on the flip side. A couple months ago, I did an interview with Terrence, and one of my members said, hey, ask him about Lil Diesel from the MILF. I said, okay, I have no idea who that is. I brought it up. He's like, oh, this messy motherfucker asked me this question. Yeah, so this was like his arch enemy. The last time they saw each other, Terrence got stabbed, right? 30 years ago. They both went to prison for individual murders for 30 years. They got, you know, they're both out now. Diesel reached out to me and said, hey, we want to do an interview. So I called up Terrence. I said, yo, would you guys be willing to sit down together? He goes, absolutely. Went back to him. Do you want to sit down with Terrence on camera for the first time ever in 30 years? He said, absolutely. I said, okay. I brought in my actual NYPD security guy, you know, active, still works for the force, frisked everyone down, and I explained to everyone before they saw each other, you know, because I had them separated. I said, look, this is not Jerry Springer. I don't want any violence to occur. And if it does, you guys are going to get arrested. It'll be out of my hands. See what I'm saying? I have an active NYPD guy. I can't stop him from arresting people. So they're like, cool. They sat down, had a very peaceful conversation, and showed a lot of growth for both of them. You know what I mean? But that was something that, once again, Terrence said, yeah, I'll do it. I'm down with it. You know? So I said, cool, we'll go forward with it. I thought it was dope. But
that's a lot of things people don't know about the Blast. I just found that out just now. I didn't know you had active police behind scenes.
Sometimes, not always,
Yeah.
but sometimes. Because at the end of the day, you could be as crazy as you want to be, but you're not going to get arrested. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you're willing to do something violent in front of police, then we're all fucked. You know, is how I look at
Right.
it.
Let me ask you a question, Vlad,
Yeah.
because I seen this online too. What happened with you and King Tut, that interview?
Right. So King Tut, he got out, and he was the one that was rumored to have shot Tupac at Quad Studios. 50 even rapped about it. You know, I heard, you know, the Tut got knocked, like, you know, many.
I ain't gonna spell it out for you motherfuckers all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
You illiterate nigga.
Yeah.
You can't read between it. That ball was coming
Yeah,
out.
it was a hot ball.
Yeah.
So everyone was under the impression that King Tut shot
Tupac, right.
So King Tut gets out, and I was interested in potentially doing the interview, and his wife or his girlfriend reached out to me, and they're like, "Yo, we want to do the interview. We want 15,000, and his girl is going to do the interview herself." And she's like, "Oh, I have experience. I've interviewed lots of people," and I'm like, "Okay, well, first of all, the price is not doable, and you doing the interview is a deal breaker. You know, it doesn't matter how good you think you are doing interviews. It's Vlad TV. I'm the one that has to actually do it. And before we actually do the interview, me and him have to have an off-the-record conversation, and I have to have a clear understanding on what exactly he's going to talk about." So they were like, you know, they started doing, we don't need Vlad. All we have to do is just build our own platform. You know what I'm saying? It's not that hard, blah, blah, blah. So I said, okay, you know, at that point, I'm out of the picture.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Building a platform is not easy. But
yeah.
so they were doing their own interviews with each other. And then I come to find out a couple weeks later that he didn't even shoot Tupac.
Well, I did that story in The Source in 2002 or 3.
And you said the same thing?
I did an interview with Tut for The Source in a section we had.
Right.
Where he cleared up, or at least gave his side to that and said that he did not.
Right. But I guess because of the 50 Cent song, everyone kind of assumed.
Right. And I mean, that's why.
He
That's
could have been
part of
lying
the
to
reason
you.
why-
Like, yeah,
yes,
you
that's
don't
part of
know,
the reason
right.
why, right? Like at the magazine at the time, obviously, if something is put out in the lyric by someone that big, we're going to go after that person if we have
Yeah.
access and be
Sure.
able to get the interview. So
Right.
that's what we did. And he talked about it on his platform.
Yeah.
His girlfriend, wife, I think she had a platform and she was building it, like you said, and they decided to put the interview on there.
Yeah.
I think that two things I want to say. One is obviously when you do an interview on your own platform, it's hard for people to be able to watch it and be like, really trust it because you're controlling your own narrative, right? Yeah. But when you have a relationship with someone, and when you were talking about making that decision, having the relationship with someone over, you know, I'm going to choose this relationship over doing the interview with someone else, right? That's really a business decision, right? Yeah. Because it's good business to make sure you maintain relationships. Relationships keep you going.
Yeah.
Right.
Part of the issue that we used to have at The Source back in the day, right, was because Dave and Ray, they were in control of the business, right? The editorial side, and this is where the journalism conversation gets to get back open again. And we could talk about that interview because this was the interview about journalism versus podcasting. You guys have built these huge platforms with this big audience. You're really businessmen first, right? Even though a lot of people like to call themselves journalists. But at The Source, a business, and it was like church and state. Business was business and journalists were journalists.
Yeah.
So that when we did the interviews, those were those meetings where you hear so much about The Source and business being against the journalists because the journalists were fighting to make sure that everybody had a voice in the story. So that if you had a relationship and somebody came that was adversarial maybe, it was like, no, wait a minute. We also, as The Source, have to give that voice to the other side.
Yeah.
And so that's where I think there's a very, very big distinction between what people say is journalism now as podcasters and what it was when we were doing it. And that is a transition into the Cameron and Elliot Wilson conversation.
Well, I just want to say before you get off the topic, but
it's the same topic though.
yeah,
Did you see that Cam
but
Elliott
in terms of, well, to answer your King Tut question, ultimately I felt like they were trying to hustle me. They were going to do an interview that I had no control over, and they're going to say, yeah, I never shot Tupac. And I would have spent $15,000 on that.
And that. Right.
And it would have absolutely lost money.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So I felt they were trying to hustle me. And I think I was smart enough to
see
dodge that hustle.
Right.
So that answers your question.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't do the interview or pay for it.
But in a business now, because people have talked about you paying for certain interviews, right? Don't you feel like everyone is trying to hustle you now? Because people know if you're going to cut a check, right?
Well, here's the thing. I think I was the first person, and this happened during the pandemic, I was the first person to really step out and say, I'm going to start paying for interviews.
Well, television always pays for interviews. There's a talent line, right? So like a lot of times, yes. So when you're doing stuff on TV, right, you have a budget for talent. So,
but is that actually paid, or is it they just cover travel?
No, they pay.
No, they pay. Okay.
They pay, and they've been paying for interviews. Some people weren't hip to it because when they had an aggressive PR team, the PR team was just trying to place them on TV, so they don't care.
Yeah.
But when the TV production goes after talent to book them on a show, a lot of times the talent is going to tax you, depending on what it is. If it's like a news show, then that's different because technically you're not really supposed to pay for interviews, right? Like when you do a documentary, you're not supposed to pay for an interview, but there's ways around that.
Because it's like incentive for you to say something that sensationalized. You know, if you're paying me this money, I gotta say it.
But like everybody kind of knows the workaround in production. Like, you know, people getting paid for interviews. I think maybe in this space, you were probably the first one to publicly acknowledge that you were gonna cut a check if someone came and did it.
Right. So does everyone try to tax me? I mean, people have tried, but we don't pay for every interview.
Right.
70% of the interviews we don't pay for. You know, but what I realized that our business really revolves around regular guests, repeat guests. So with those repeat guests, yes, I could get them every so often based on our friendship or our relationship or the promo they'll get from the clip. But if I want them as often as I would like them, it made more sense to compensate them because I was making money as well. Right. As long as the money that I was paying them, I was able to clear on my end. And after doing interviews with people so many times, you could really eyeball it and say, okay, this person could bring about 3 million views. This person could bring about 1 million views. So I'm going to do the math in my head and offer them something that makes sense. And 95% of the time, we've made money from paid interviews. Right. So it just was a good business decision, ultimately.
But it is like a TV show. It's like the same sort of thing because you call it Vlad TV.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, TV's in the name.
Right.
Yeah, so I've never been shy about that. And, you know, it turned into an actual business where more and more people realize, you know, I remember when me and Birdman talked for the first time. He was like, hey, man, I really respect your business sense of actually paying for interviews and turning into a real business because, you know, when he was coming up, no one ever got paid for interviews. Right. And, you know, hearing Birdman, who you could say was the greatest hip hop CEO ever in terms of pure music. Right. I mean, it was flattering. Right. You see what I'm saying? Right. So yeah, I mean, we paid for a lot of interviews we don't pay for.
I think that the issue for me was when people started throwing numbers out there. I don't know how accurate they were about what you were paying.
What I was paying?
Yeah. It started to trickle back around. Yeah. Now I have this platform where a lot of guests have shown up off the love. Like if we fuck with you or we fuck with the show or we got a relationship with somebody in this room or whatever. And then certain people would be like, well, what y'all paying? Right. You know what I mean? And I'll be like, you know, I don't really want to.
Well, but you have to look at it on an individual basis.
Right.
Like, you know, if you take a 21 Savage, for example, which is a huge draw, and he rarely does interviews.
Yeah, and shout out to him because.
Yeah, I know he came and did it for free.
Right.
But if he said, give me $5,000, would you say no? I wouldn't say no.
No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
Because
you wouldn't say yes?
At 21 is someone that it's almost a guarantee. Right. But some people,
yes.
are not a guarantee.
Exactly. And
I actually tried to work out a situation with somebody, and I thought it would be one thing, and it wasn't that. So I'm like, I'm not sure how to navigate this space. I've always asked you, like, how do you calculate what a person's interview is worth? I mean, there's some people that's like, oh, I know this is going to go, but some people it's a gray area.
Well, you have to, I mean, there's no exact science for it, but you can look at what that person has done on similar platforms. So me and Adam have a somewhat similar platform,
Right.
right? Not exactly, but it's somewhat similar. So if you go on No Jumper and you get 1 million views, right, which let's just say is maybe about $5,000, just to, you know, as a rough number, and they ask for $30,000, but they only got $1 million on a similar platform, then the answer is no, because you've shown that, you know, you're not going to do that. This was, you know, when you looked at the whole situation with me and Marlon Wayans that went through when he wanted 40,000 plus 30%, my whole thing was, when you look at all your similar interviews, you know, of course, yeah, on the Shannon Sharp, it blew up and whatever else. But then when he did Breakfast Club afterwards, it got about 300,000 views.
Right.
And, you know, and Shannon even said publicly, I don't pay for interviews. So my point was, you're asking for 40,000, but you've never gotten it from anybody.
Right.
No one's ever paid you 40,000 to do an interview. You asked me for it, and yeah, I kind of jumped out the window and acted like an asshole about it. But my point is still valid, that nobody has ever paid you that amount because you don't bring the audience to justify that amount.
Right.
Now, if, let me see, like who is someone that just goes crazy with the views? Let's say Jay-Z. If Jay-Z wanted 40,000 and is willing to sit down for you for, you know, for 3 hours, there you go. If Eminem wanted 40,000, we could do a 3-hour interview, ask me whatever you want.
But those
There
are
you
the
go.
guys that don't need it.
They don't need it.
So here's the, usually when they're sitting down, it's because they
actually want to do it. Right. And that's the
So,
thing.
like,
a lot of times when you get, you know, it's like, oh, so-and-so wants to do it. He wants an offer. And it's like, what do I offer someone who's worth $30 million? I mean, whatever it is, it's chump change to them.
Right.
You know, but sometimes people are like, okay, well, just give me that money. I'm going to give it to my crew. You know what I mean? Just as a, you know, just out of principle.
Right.
It's a business, man. It's a business. And you know, we have, you know, like the one thing about Vlad TV is because I have a computer science degree and I work closely with my programmer, we've built a very intricate system on the back end over the last, you know, 17 years that I probably spent $1 million on, that every interview, there's a breakdown of all the costs involved, not just the appearance fee, but, you know, the studio, the camera person, you know, flights, hotels, security, whatever else. That's all calculated. And then the views are calculated. And then all the profit is calculated. This is what comes from YouTube. This is from Snapchat. This is from Facebook and so forth. And then there's a final number at the end that shows the profit and the loss. And I can sort, you know, so I can look at Boosie and see every interview I've ever done with him and whether those interviews actually made money or not.
Right.
You know, so as we negotiate, I could reference the data. So it's kind of turned into more of a...
But you're referencing data off of how many interviews?
It depends. Sometimes it's one interview. Sometimes it's 20 interviews. Sometimes it's other people's interviews and I have to just eyeball it.
But to me, that's just what I find funny is that's just production, right? That's what we do in TV, right? We have an estimated production budget, and then we have an actual production budget. We fill in the numbers. Okay, this is what we you know think we're going to spend, and this is what we spend, and then you budget it out and see what your profit is.
Exactly.
Right. I think people weren't privy to that information before.
Right. Exactly.
People didn't know that because business was being done in a way that was respectful and discreet.
Yes.
Then you got to a place where people started talking about it.
Right.
And that kind of messed up the business.
Yeah.
Because
I don't think it messed it up.
I think it did.
I say it did mess it up because
I've
heard prices and I know what's exaggerated.
Right, but
I know what's like,
thing.
Ain't no way, bro.
In every negotiation,
like, stop.
In every
You know what I mean?
negotiation, you start with a obscenely high number, and then the person will counter with an obscenely low number, and you try to sort of whittle your way down to the middle. Like, you know, there's probably 3 or 4 people I'm talking to now where we're still trying to negotiate the price. Their price is a little high, my price is a little low. We try to get to the middle of it. I remember, you know, me and Lil Woody, you know, I offered him something. He said no. He's like, this is my price. This is what I want. You know, give me a 50% deposit. I will be there. I will do my job. I grumbled about it. I'm like, I don't know. But I'm like, fuck it. I gave it to him. He showed up on time, professional, stayed as long as I wanted, answered every question. The interview came out. It was massively profitable.
Do you get those guests where they come on for free? They pull up to the to your spot for free, and then you pay them later?
No. There's an agreement, you know. And like for example, like me and Lil B kind of had a falling out years ago because you know, I remember early on, I asked if I could post his videos on my YouTube channel. He said, yeah, go ahead. Some of those videos really blew up. I think Wonton Soup became his biggest whatever. Then he was like, hey man, how come you're not giving me, you know, a cut? And I'm like, well, that's not the agreement. You know, if you want me to take it down, I'll take it down. Because yeah, take it all down. I'm like, cool, I took it all down. And then me and him kind of weren't really cool after that, you know, because he felt like I should have broken him off, and I felt like, but there was no agreement for that.
Right.
You actually helped him though.
Well, that's how I felt. Like his videos haven't reacted in the same way since then. Me and him are cool again. You know, we talked recently, but I think that's sometimes the problem is that you come up to an agreement, or you just do it without any money changing hands, and then when you see all this money being made on the other side, people feel some type of way, especially if their financial situation isn't great. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's not even like, look, like sometimes it's just a barter. Like you know, like. You do my show, I'll do your show. We've been doing that.
Exactly.
Me and Academics do the same thing. Me and
Favor
Adam
for
do the
favor.
same thing. It's
Right.
like all of us have money, so it doesn't make sense for us to pay each other. Because it's like if I pay you, then if you want me to do your show, you'll have to pay me too.
Y'all can just
Right.
go to
It's just,
Bergdorf
yeah,
and
it's
hang
just
out,
silly.
you
We
know?
might. What's that?
Y'all can just go to Bergdorf and hang out.
Yeah,
and
we
do
can
that,
do that.
So no, but like when I was saying that it messed up the business, right? I mean, in terms of people expecting money for interviews, it's kind of gotten out of control.
It's got out of control, but it's ultimately up to the person to tell them no.
No.
Right.
Simple.
You know, you know how many people, oh my God, like I've had so many people that are suing Diddy that want to do an interview with me for $8,500 and blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Right.
Like, you know, this lawsuit's probably fake to begin with. You probably never even met him. You know,
Right.
and I'm not going to pay for whatever. You know, like I
It's
said,
a hustle. There's a lot
Yeah,
of
I mean, the
people out
King
here
Tut
hustling.
situation, I felt like they were trying to hustle me.
Right.
Right.
They knew the whole time that they weren't going to say that they shot Tupac.
They
That
didn't.
King
That they
Tut-
didn't. That he didn't.
And he did
That he
it.
didn't.
Right.
He knew the whole time
Right.
that was the real story. But he was like, okay, but I can get $15,000 out of saying that. You know, from Vlad, because Vlad probably is paying the most because he has the biggest platform. You know, on
Because
YouTube.
I think it goes back to the journalism thing, right? Storytelling and journalism are two different things. And I think that's where we're caught up in right now. Podcasting is thriving off of storytelling.
Yeah.
Right? But
Yeah,
it's
I don't
not
consider myself-
necessarily journalism.
Yeah, I don't consider myself a
Right.
pure journalist.
Right,
I don't put myself in the same boat as someone like you.
right.
You know?
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I understand that there's more
But I
of
like
a,
to tell stories too.
yeah, there's more
So
of an
just so-
entertainment
right.
aspect of
Right,
what I
to
do.
storytelling.
Now, I try to get the real story.
Right.
You know, 99% of the time, I felt that when I have people that I've interviewed, they have actually told the truth. Every so often, you get a mentally disturbed person that goes in and says some wild shit, you know. But in general, I feel like it's the truth. But I understand that we don't follow the strict journalistic guidelines in terms of what we do, and paying is one of those.
Right.
Like we were talking,
Right.
you know, before we started, Vice reached out to me
Right.
because they're doing this BMF series, and they were like, "Yo, we want to fly Vlad out to do like a 3-hour interview." So I'm like, I'm talking to my sister. I'm like, "How much are you gonna pay me?" "This is a journalistic piece, so we really just can't pay you." And I'm like, "Well, why the fuck would I go and spend
that.
my whole day
Because-
flying out,
Right.
sitting down, getting interviewed?"
Unless you
The-
were doing a BMF series on your channel, which is where they kind of like, you know, don't understand. There's no value in a lot of people doing the talking head stuff, right? Like,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
no value.
Yeah.
People call me for stuff all the time. I'm not doing it without money unless I'm.
Exactly.
I just signed my book deal 2 days ago.
Woo!
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'll announce it soon. I can't say what
Yeah.
it is, but
Ah,
if I'm
shit.
I'm not gonna say what it is yet. If I'm promoting it,
Oh,
then I'll
man.
do all these
Well, yeah,
interviews,
yeah. I
right?
mean, and that's the thing. Also, it's like if you're on a promo tour, I'm
Right.
not going to pay you.
right,
Right.
right.
And that's another thing. Sometimes it's like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'll pay you now. I just catch you when you're doing
when
a
your
press
album
run.
drops.
Because it's not
When you're
exclusive.
doing a press run, you're going to stop here anyway.
Right.
So
Right.
it's like, it's not good business for certain people.
Yeah. I mean,
some people, yeah, they may be worth it, but some
Yeah.
people is not. And I feel like sometimes when you pay people, it's like an incentive for them to embellish.
I haven't found that, honestly. I haven't found that. If you pay someone, they're going to say the same story, whether you pay them or not pay them, is the way I look at it.
Mhm.
You know, now I'm sure there's subtleties along the way,
Mhm.
but I haven't really found that, to be honest.
Well, sometimes you're the gateway. Sometimes someone being on your platform and how well it does
Mhm.
dictates whether another platform
No,
will pay
exactly.
them.
There's a lot of platforms that, you know, and we do the same thing. We look at other platforms. You know, I have a weekly review that my assistant sends over to show all the people that are on competitive platforms. They're like, okay, well, if they're doing that, it's more likely that they'll do our show as well. So we reach out to those people that we're interested in.
Right.
And it goes, and people are doing that to us as well. So once you show up on Vlad TV, you know, people have built careers off their first Vlad TV.
Right.
Like
That's-
Terrence Gangster Williams, who was coming out of prison doing 30 years, admitting to 40 murders. He has to have a job,
Right.
you know, because of his probation. So at the time, when we did his first interview, and I paid him for the interview, I mean, it wasn't a huge amount, it was a fair amount. You know, he was working at Tyson Chicken, hosing down chicken blood.
Wow.
You know, and gizzards and whatever else.
Wow.
You know, it was okay, you know, he was cool with that. But then after my interview and he saw the excitement that, you know, all the attention that he got from it, he started filming his own, you know, YouTube channel
Right.
in one of the rooms in his apartment.
Right.
And a year later, he was making 6 digits, and he told his probation officer, "I'm quitting my job." And the probation officer was like, "Great, let me look at
Yep.
these are the checks from YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, go
Perfect.
ahead, quit your
Yeah,
job."
do your
Right.
thing.
So now he wakes up every morning. You know, he doesn't. You know, he lives like in Texas somewhere. Goes into his other room, records, edits it himself, and makes a 6-digit salary without having to do really nasty, bloody work.
Right.
You know.
Let me ask you a question. Like you said that if you look at a platform and they interview someone and the numbers didn't do too well,
Yeah.
you don't look at it as from your point of view to be like, well, they not gonna ask the type of questions that I'm gonna ask to pull out of them. So pause,
Nah, you're right.
Pause.
You're right. You got it.
right? But I'm gonna do a better job interviewing them, and my numbers gonna be higher than what theirs were anyway.
That is true to a certain degree, but those numbers probably won't be 10x,
Got it.
right? And there's also a certain value that comes with your first interview ever. A second interview doesn't always react like the first.
First one.
You
Right.
see what I'm saying? It could even be bigger,
Right.
but getting the story the first time and really doing a great job of getting that person to tell their story, because ultimately, you are the navigator of that interview. You are the one that's helping to put that story together. You're not just letting a person sit there and just ramble for 2 hours.
Yeah. You gotta
There's
be
no value in
You
that.
gotta be able to pull the story
You
out.
got to be able, like we're like scientific about it.
Right.
Like, you know, my notes are laid out. Like I know exactly how the interview goes. And, you know, like one of the complaints people say is, like, oh, you always interrupt people. I don't do it just to do it. A lot of times when they start to veer off course and start going off into tangents, I got to
Bring them back.
potentially bring them back to get back into the story, back into the timeline. So yeah, a lot of work is on me. It's a lot of pressure. Like on interview days, you really can't even reach me because I'm in research mode up until the interview.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. You could potentially do a better job, but it won't be a massive difference. So like I said, if you do 1 million views on No Jumper and you want $50,000 to do Vlad TV, it probably won't
happen.
Probably won't happen.
Yeah.
It probably won't happen. And
Well,
this is
how
why
many
you
views does something have to get to be worth $50,000? Just being real in this time.
let's just say 10 million.
10 million views
Yeah.
to be worth 50,000.
About that, yeah. Well, because you're not just trying to break even, you're trying to make a profit.
Yeah.
Like, what's the
Right.
point of spending $50,000 to make $50,000?
Dollars, right? Exactly,
My time is valuable.
right.
You know, I have overhead.
And
Like,
you said 10 million.
about 10 million, yeah. 10 million views.
So what's 1 million?
They say you get like
About
5,000
5,000.
to 7,000
each
Yeah,
million.
about 5. I usually go 1 million to 5,000. That's usually what I work out in my head.
Right.
And I feel that's enough to pad it for some profit as well.
That depends on your CPM rate.
Depends on your CPM. It depends whether videos get demonetized. Now there's the clips. There's also the full interview and so
Right.
forth. So a lot goes into that. But usually with that formula, you've padded it enough to the point where you can make some profit out of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because listen, there's been lots of interviews. You know, like I remember I interviewed Tupac's dad. Like they really were very firm on a relatively high number, and I kept trying to push it down, and they weren't budging. As of right now, that interview has lost money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I bit the bullet, did it. It didn't quite do what I wanted to do. Now maybe over time, You know, maybe when Tupac comes back in the news, or maybe Tupac's dad comes back in the news, it might jump up or whatever else. So I'm not really stressing about it. It's not like it was a massive loss,
Right.
but it was like I probably should have stuck to my guns and just kept the price that I originally wanted, which I thought was a fair price. But
It would have made sense.
would have made sense. But I'm also looking at it like, you know, this is an older man. I might not get the opportunity to interview him in a couple of years.
But also that interview, I don't think there are many other people that have done that interview.
There's one Art of Dialogue.
Right.
Art of Dialogue.
So it's pretty. It's going to last a long time.
Possibly.
That's how. Because I remember, I
Yeah.
believe we used that interview for something that I worked on. So, and I remember there was only like your platform, and you know.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a business at the end of the day, and you know, I mean, there is the importance of it, and there is the impact, and there's the cultural aspect of it, but there's also bills.
Yeah.
You know, I have a New York studio that costs me $20,000 a month, whether I film there or not.
Right.
You know, and that's not my only studio. I have a dozen employees that are all fairly paid. I pay for their health insurance, and you know, I'm saying their dental and everything else like that. Like, we have to keep up a certain level of income for this company to even function. You know, we laid off our whole writing staff last year because that part of the company was just shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. People are getting their news.
A lot of writers.
Yeah, I hated it.
Yeah.
I had a girl that worked for me for like 10 years
Yeah.
that I had to call her up and say, I'm so sorry. Like, we're just laying off the whole department.
Right.
So
So
you
people don't
wanna
read
be,
anymore, really.
Yeah, people don't read. Or they just go, when they scroll on Instagram, they get the whole story right there in the caption.
Right.
Right?
Well, you will
Why
read my
click
book.
over?
You will read my book.
Yeah.
It's gonna be different. Not like anything you.
You know, you
Let
have
me
to
stop.
balance.
Let me stop. Stop.
You know, because like I have a staff that I'm responsible for. That I do my best because I understand that I'm essentially their only source of income. People that work for me full time, these aren't like contractors who have other gigs. Their rent, their food, their electricity is paid by me. So I have to make sure that they continue to get paid, and we have to keep a certain output up because I don't want to just start having to let people go.
Right.
So there's lots of responsibilities.
How difficult is it when YouTube changes policies and they go back and they yellow light stuff?
Well,
and
I mean, but
CPM rate is dropping.
that became part of the process of us always monitoring interviews. So when they do get demonetized and they go yellow, you could actually submit a counter to that. And if that doesn't work, there's actually a second counter you could do as well, which I didn't know about. You know, shout out to Trapler Ross who told me about that. So you try to preserve as much as you can in terms of monetization, but sometimes it's out of your control. You know, if you paid a whole bunch of money for an interview, then the video gets demonetized.
You're stuck.
You're stuck.
Right.
And it's not like you can blame the person. They did their job. You never heard me criticize. Like, you know, I mean, Tupac's dad. I have nothing bad to say about him. He came in. He answered all the questions. He was professional. He was polite. He was open. He was transparent. He did everything that he was supposed to do. It was up to me to turn that into a profitable venture. And I wasn't able to do it, at least at this time. So, no, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to sit here and get mad at him because he didn't do the views. No, like he did his thing. I have the utmost respect, you know, for his dad and what he went through. But we have to run it as a business. We have to run it as a business or else there will be no more business. Look at all like the blogs that aren't just around anymore.
But I was gonna ask you about the writers when you said that, like when you had to lay them off.
It wasn't just one writer. It was like 5 writers.
Right. So did you have to cut out that whole part of your site? Like, do you not do that anymore?
No, we don't.
Wow.
We don't report on the news anymore.
Wow. So it just wasn't profitable at all.
No, I'm not going to say that, but the profit was just shrinking and shrinking year after year after year.
Okay.
And I just felt like it was getting to the point where it was almost breaking even. And when you're almost breaking even, there's kind of no point in doing it anymore. You know, you just, you have to bite the bullet. And you got to think that AI also played a role in this also.
Absolutely.
Because these writers were also writing up captions from our videos, but then we figured out that we could actually take the transcript from the video, run it through ChatGPT, and now we have the write-up.
Math is actually planning to replace us all with robots. So
No, we go unionize this spot before you do that shit.
Okay, all right.
We got the vice president in the
Again,
building.
thanks for the heads up. Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah, so that was it as well. AI also took part of their job. I may have kept one writer on just to do that, but ultimately, when ChatGPT does something for you in 30 seconds and you don't need the writer, you have to do what you have to do. I'm not happy about this.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not, because these are human beings
Right.
who have worked for me and done their job and have been loyal and everything else like that. But it was a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
But ultimately, as a business person, you have to make those decisions.
Yeah.
You ever paid a guest? They didn't like the interview and they hit you back and asked you to take it down?
Scott Disick.
Wow.
Scott Disick.
Wow.
We had agreed on a fee to do an interview and also a feature on his cars at his house
Mm-hmm.
in Hidden Hills. And the guy who set it up just did it. He was Scott's business partner on the real estate side, and me and him were kind of forming a friendship, and he just did it just for free to just help me out, right? So we go to his house, we set up, we do the interview, and he's like, wait, I didn't think this was going to be an interview, because I remember leading up to it, I realized he has no interviews.
Right.
He's just never done an interview, period.
Right.
And he's a fairly well-known guy, right? He's Courtney's baby father, right? He's keeping up the Kardashians, everything else like that.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, this is going to be kind of a big deal. This will be his first kind of life story kind of piece. So we're going through this whole, and he's like, man, I didn't know I was going to do this. Like, I don't really like talking about this. I don't want to, Kanye came up, oh no, I don't want to talk. No, and he was just sort of like in pain the whole time or whatever else.
Yeah.
So we get through that. It's not the greatest, interview I've ever done.
Mm.
So then we go and do the car feature. And at that point, he kind of like, he gets
Perks
more
up.
excited, and
Yeah.
he perks up, and he's doing the whole car feature, whatever else. So we're done. I pay him. He signs the release forms, everything else like that. So the guy who set up the interview called me up and was like, Scott just screamed at me for the last 3 hours. He's super pissed off. He didn't realize this was going to be like an interview. He doesn't know about Vlad TV. I think I probably didn't explain it to him well enough either. He's just super mad. And then Scott's lawyers sent us this email asking for like 2/3 of the interview to be cut out. But my thing is like, you took the money, you signed the release form. All this doesn't really matter, right? But because of the relationship of the guy who set it up,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to put him in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I said, okay, look, let's do this. Have him give back, the interview was the main part of what we were going to do. The car feature was just extra. Have him give back 2/3 of the appearance fee, and we'll just run the car feature.
Mm-hmm.
Calling back, said, come by tomorrow, I'll give you the cash.
Mm.
So yeah. So there was, to answer your question, someone who did pay, who was paid, wanted it down, but they had to give back the majority of the money in order to do that. And everyone understood that. It was ultimately just a fair business move. And we still lost money on the interview. But it was something that I ultimately, agreed to do, and it is what it is.
What you were saying about the Cam and Elliott Wilson, though?
Well, when we were having this whole conversation, I mean, everything we're talking about, right? Like interviews, podcasting, all that stuff,
you
kind of was like...
kind of ran through the whole thing and
Yeah.
how like the journalist side of things is kind of played out now.
Yep.
It's not.
It's
I mean,
different.
it's different. We're entering an era where, names supersede skill. A lot of times, but you know what? I can't even say that because I watched Elliott Wilson on Cam's platform, the Your Welcome Network. He did the interview.
He was sweating duck sauce and all that.
No, but to be honest, it looked
funny.
like Cam was schooling Elliott to how things are going now. And I agreed with a lot of the things that Cam was saying.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a realization there where, okay, back in the days, this was your job, this is your skill, but it's not the interest now. There isn't a space for your skill, there's just a space for views. And everyone's competing for views. And if this name doing the interview means more than you doing the interview, then your skills are kind of like, it's played out.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot less platforms
Mm-hmm.
20, 30 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you're the source, you have the luxury of setting the rules.
Yeah.
Because what's the competition? XXL,
Vibe.
Vibe, sort of, because Vibe is a little more R&B.
Yeah.
Then they got the rap pages,
Rap
the
pages,
Murder
yeah.
Dog, kind of the smaller
Right.
independent outlets and so forth. But the source at one point was
The only place.
the only place.
Right.
So
Right.
you guys could decide how to function in terms of journalism, what rules you set, and everybody is ultimately going to fall in line. I mean, how many issues have started over the years over someone not getting a cover?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I
Right.
remember when I interviewed Elliot, he told me how Diddy, you know, because his wife at the time, you know, his wife, who was the editor-in-chief of Vibe at the
Right.
time, had done a cover shoot with Diddy, and Diddy showed up and said, I want to see the cover.
Right.
She said no, and he started threatening her.
Right. And she wrote about that.
She wrote about
Yeah.
that.
Mm.
This was a bit, yeah, it just shows how important you guys were
At that time.
at that time and how the covers were a make it or break it kind of thing. I mean, in fact, like you talk to someone like Tretch from Naughty by Nature, he feels that Vibe is the reason over the East Coast, West Coast beef because of that cover.
Mm-hmm.
No one was saying that until Vibe coined East versus West
Mm-hmm.
with Biggie and Puffy on the cover.
Right.
If that cover never happened, things may have turned out differently.
Right.
You know, and all the violence.
Maybe, but
I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
to
I
coin it
understand.
like that
Yeah.
Yeah.
suddenly, where like you hear these stories of like
The media played a role.
The
in,
media
like,
played a role.
Yes.
And sensationalized. it.
Yes.
sensationalized to the
Yes.
point where East Coast and West Coast rappers were getting into violent altercations that
Right.
didn't even have any beef, but they just happened to be
That is
representing
true.
those coasts.
That is
Right.
true. Yep.
And, you know, like I said, we're at the era right now where there's so many outlets and there's new ones popping up every day. You can't set those types of rules. You have to understand the bigger picture. And sometimes it means like, yeah, in terms of true journalism, it's not exactly that.
Right. It's very different these
Yeah.
days. Yeah. So I understand that. Like, I actually thought that their conversation was really interesting. Cam and Elliot's conversation.
Yeah.
A little too serious for me. I like to see Mace eating the popcorn more so, but that's probably why we are where we are. I
Yeah.
kind of watched it. I almost felt like after a couple minutes, I had to watch it. I was like, let me finish. I got to finish watching this because it's about journalism.
Right.
But I'd rather look at this BS over here or some, you know, more entertaining.
Man, I think Elliot should have stood on his
more
shit,
entertain-
man.
Yeah, he
Yo, if
he
you feel that way, you
apologized.
feel that way.
He
Let them know,
apologized.
like, yo, you know, this shit is whack. I used to be the man doing this shit. Now everybody taking my job. Fuck all you niggas. He should have went out like Tupac. He should have went out like Tupac,
But
son.
Elliot
Kind of
has
what he said on the Rory. See, when Elliot got into the like conversation with Cam, he apologized. He said he basically was like, "Look, I jumped out the window when I did the interview." Right?
He's done that before. He did that with Kai Cenat.
Yeah.
You know, he
Only because
criticized
of
him.
the backlash he got. If he didn't get no backlash, he would have stood.
You think?
Man,
Absolutely.
Listen, man, if that's how you feel, it is what it is. There
Sometimes you
is
gotta stand
pun
on your
intended.
No
square.
pun intended.
If I was Elliot, I would have went on there with the questions that I feel like should have been asked that wasn't asked. And just kind of establish why I have this skill and you don't. You know what I'm saying?
Bro,
If you want to be critical about people and taking your job, then show us how you do it better.
Can someone take your job?
Of course they
Yes.
can.
They can.
Of course they can.
Well, I don't think so. I think that you allow other people to take your job
There we go.
because you don't step up.
There we go.
Right.
Or you don't change.
And
or you don't change with the times.
You don't evolve.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't involve. Right.
And that's what I'm saying.
You know,
Tell
eventually
that-
dinosaurs no longer
But-
rule the earth.
Say that again.
You know,
please.
Tell that
Say
to
that
Joy
again,
Taylor in the gang, man.
No, listen. And I'm cool with Elliot. He was
Right,
on my
yeah,
show
yeah, of
recently.
course,
Me and him
yeah.
have a long-term relationship and everything else
Oh,
like that.
man.
So I respect what Elliot did. I mean, look, you could say that under his watch, that's when Double XL became the prominent
Absolutely.
hip hop platform.
Absolutely.
Right? You could give that to him. I didn't
Right.
say he was the editor in chief when it first started, but he took over coming
was
from
the-
the
he
coming
was the
from
one
the
that-
source, and
yes,
he's the one
yes.
that took it to new heights. So you got to give him his accolades. But the world has changed.
He had his run.
Well, no, he can
Everything-
still
everything
have
has a-
his run. I mean, his
Everything has
run
a
may.
shelf life.
I think that listen, all of us have a frustration that we can't get the interviews that we want to do.
Right.
You know, if you're really serious about it, when you see someone that you know that you feel is in the same space and they get an interview that you've been trying to get, you get a little mad, you know, internally.
Competitiveness.
It's competitive.
Sometimes. I mean, there's been a couple of
Depends.
times somebody was supposed to come here, they canceled, and I seen them on another platform,
Right.
and I was like,
Yeah, it's annoying.
Fuck it, whatever.
It's annoying, but you also can't, you know, I realized over time, this is why I always have other people talk for me sometimes, because when I get on the phone with people, it doesn't usually go well. You know, it's usually better if I let other people coordinate stuff
Right.
and so forth, because I get too emotional when it comes
Right.
to certain
Right.
things. It turns into screaming matches and it's all types of shit. I start calling people out on their bullshit. Usually after
But
that,
you know that's bullshit, right?
they don't want to talk anymore.
Speaking of conversations, you
Yeah.
recently had a conversation with somebody. You said, I think you gave hint about this on.
Yeah. Me and Suge Knight talked on the phone. Last night.
Let me guess, it wasn't a screaming match.
No, it wasn't.
Well, it's not.
He wasn't talking about hanging you from a balcony.
No. And actually, I interviewed Vanilla Ice about that.
Word?
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't actually hang from the balcony, but he went to the
leaned him
balcony
over.
with him and convinced him to sign over, you know,
Yeah.
part of his music to.
He showed him the crime scene in full. That's how you
Yeah,
went.
so me and Suge had our first ever conversation. You know, he's still in prison, of course. Last night.
Right.
How was it?
I mean, it was interesting. I mean, Suge is Suge. You know, there was a little bit of a like, yeah, you know, I've heard, you know, you've said a few things about me over the years, and I don't think you would have said them, you know, if I was standing in front of you at that time. But, you know, that's the past. That's all good. So I'm like, yep, here comes the Suge.
Yeah,
you know, creeping his head up again.
yeah.
You know,
Just letting you know.
I'm still Suge. You know?
Did Keefy D come up at any point?
No, see, this wasn't an interview. This
Right.
was just a conversation of us getting to know each other to
Right.
potentially do
The
business in the future.
Right.
So there was no specifics over anything.
See-
but the one, sorry, to interrupt
Uh-huh.
you, but the one thing that he did say, which stood out, is that he kind of just told me how much he loves hip hop and how important hip hop is, and how hip hop is not just one person, how there's a lot of people involved in it, and he feels that I'm someone who loves hip hop as well, which is why he wants to do something with me, and how important that is in his life, and you know, his contribution to it. And he has a very major
Yes, a
contribution,
huge
to it.
contribution.
A huge contribution
Yeah.
to it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, some of the decisions he made along the way ultimately
Yeah.
ended up putting him where he is.
Right.
But you could say there might not have been a death row without Suge Knight. Well, you could clearly say there'd be no death row.
Right.
Clearly.
It would have been
Right.
something else.
Right.
Right.
But wouldn't have been death row.
Right.
And the energy that came with it.
Right.
He was a pivotal part of that.
Right.
But just hearing him just talk about his love for hip hop is something I haven't heard from Suge before. So I thought that was a very
That's
cool
dope.
thing.
That's dope.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Vlad of Vlad TV, y'all.
Vladimir.
Anything you want to close out with?
Well, I'm going to say this, and you're actually part of this because we did a segment about this. In the very near future, Vlad TV has a membership section for $5 a month. You know, as a member, you can get the interviews on the first day,
Right.
you know, very early in general.
Right.
We're launching a new tier, which is called the Vlad TV YouTube Masterclass,
Right.
which is going to be $100 a month. And for those people who sign up to this, there's going to be monthly videos that not only break down how I built Vlad TV, including the actual numbers, including the videos. Like, for example, there's a whole segment about a $50,000 video that we released and explaining how that video came together, why it did the numbers it did, and so forth. There's going to be a segment about equipment. You know, we actually show our studio, all of our equipment, as well as showing a low-cost solution. And with that, we're actually, as I do interviews with people like yourself, there is a serious sit-down segment about how that person built up a successful YouTube channel, along with the revenue that came. Like, these are the videos, and you had a video that made $40,000, and you explained how that came about.
Thanks for blowing me up, man. Blowing me up.
You get to see it, you know, on the Vlad TV YouTube Masterclass. So, because the thing is, a lot of people always ask me advice
Right.
on what to do. And, you know, I've thought about doing something like this, maybe in the stock market field, because this is something I've pushed, but I realized that I'm not really an expert in stocks. I've done well with it financially, but there's so many people that are way more knowledgeable. But when it comes to the YouTube space, we're like the original, Vlad TV was one of the original hip hop YouTube channels that's still around, and still striving. So I feel like I'm one of the world experts in this particular thing.
Right.
So with all the people that would constantly ask me for advice, I felt that this was a great platform of actually having real classes that break it down where, yes, it's not cheap, it's $100,
Right.
but you could potentially make thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars from some of the things that you learn in this. So that's gonna be launching soon.
Wow.
Yo, Vlad, put together award show.
We've been talking about this, like me, Adam, and academics. We've been trying to do a group chat over this to do an award show, but for the past year, it's like we started, but then it just kind of drifts off. Yeah, shout out to Jason Lee, who has the Hollywood Unlocked award show.
He did a great job
done
with that.
A great job with it multiple times now. So salute to the independent people like Jason, because historically we've never been nominated for a BET Hip Hop Award.
That's okay.
That's
okay. I hosted the red carpet and I didn't get one.
Exactly.
So.
Shout out to Complex. They put us on the media power list.
Right.
But as a whole, we don't really get recognized that much.
Right.
So I think it really is up to people like me and you and Adam and academics and so forth to somehow put that together.
That'd be fire.
Where it actually recognizes the real people who are actually moving the needle. Because when you see these like Carisha Please won like twice in a row and she has like 1 or 2 episodes a year, it's just like, come on. Like it's just a little silly. It's a little silly. I'm just saying.
Can't say nothing.
But yeah, it is something that we've talked about, but we just haven't really done the work. And these things do require a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's needed though.
It is needed.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right. Vlad, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
That's okay, Peter. Never take life for granted. Shit real. I got issues for what I've been through, but then again, if I give you my all, it's genuine. You ain't never lived a life if you never took a loss. If I die tonight, everything I ever own, you can take it all. Put my pain in this music until the song hurting. Ever gave your heart to the wrong person? If I love you, just keep it tall with me. And in return, you get rewards from me. 5-star dinners, shopping sprees and long trips. Booked a short stay with your bae in the A and gave a long